customer, and at the click of a mouse is creating a fast response time for the marketers. Now, what is the next P, which is promotion? This particular P deals with creating awareness and interest among your customers to buy your product. It represents the process by which organizations when they are contemplating producing a value, how do they inform the market? So all the actions that are taken to inform, persuade, motivate, and remind consumers to buy. Activity of promotion also performs additional functions like how do you actually use the product? So demonstration of use, self-usage, safe usage, what are the caveats and risks associated with the purchase? You would have seen ads for certain services which says this particular this game that you are going to buy or invest in is addictive and may involve losses, so play at your own risk. So this is the caveat that the marketer tries to show through promotion, and it plays a major role in creating product differentiation and position. The promotion mix or the communication mix, like we talked about the product mix, we can also talk about the promotion mix, and these are the different components of selling, advertising, publicity, and so on. This is just to share with you, and I'm not really going to go to each component, just for your record and interest that the promotion mix is a combination of various elements that go up to make the communication mix of the organization. The last component that we are going to talk about in marketing mix is the place component. And the question that you have, place component talks about creating time and place utility. Once the goods have been produced, they have to be reached, they have to be taken to each point where consumption would take place. So because the points of production and points of consumption are removed both in agencies, this creation of place utility is the major function that channels of distributions perform. And the P element, therefore, this P element, place, therefore talks about how do we ensure that people have the goods when they want them, at places where they want them, and can therefore have sort of assured delivery options of buying it from different outlets. Marketing channels, when we talk about, and this could be done by the company itself, but it would be a very, very costly option. Therefore, the general practice is to have intermediaries like wholesalers, retailers, brokers, and consumers, and they are critical links in the value chain. Earlier, they create time and place utility, and the channel members also bring the benefits of specializations in terms of storage, warehousing, transportation to the value chain that we were talking about. What is the importance of the channel of distribution decision for the marketer? You would realize as you study the component of the channels of distribution is that this is among the most critical decision that the marketers make, because it intimately affects all other decisions. Depending upon the channel choice you make, you may have to look at your pricing implications, your promotion implications, and so on. So it is a critical decision, and it's also critical because your dependency is on time to build. So you need to invest time and effort in building those relationships, and is also a long-term corporate commitment that you are making. So you can't have a 6-month kind of an arrangement with a wholesaler or retailer. You tend to get into long-term relationships, and once these relationships are there, they have implications for the way you will be presented to the market. So these are choices that have to be made very, very carefully. This has got a major cost implication, because if you look at the cost of goods sold, you would find that in a country like ours, distribution costs contribute a very large percentage of the cost of goods sold, which is why partly the appeal of digital marketing. So when people can, the dark continent of cost economics, because there are so many hidden costs that are there in the distribution channels. This is also the area where you have a huge impact of technology. Logistics as a function is changing almost completely. Channels are changing completely. The information flows are changing a lot, and therefore people say within 5 years that the function that would become completely transformed would be supply chain and logistics function. Like pricing decisions, we need to also say what are the major channel decisions you have to make, whether you want to have a single node or a multiple node. So how many kind of channel nodes do you want to have? Do you want to have some of the major decisions? Do you have within each channel that you have chosen, for example, you've chosen indirect distribution, wholesalers, retailers, and so on, how many specific numbers to select at each level? So if you want to cover North India, how many wholesalers, how many retailers, and so again. Now, within each channel, when you have members like wholesalers, retailers, agents, brokers, what is the specific marketing role do you want to assign to each? And these need to be formalized, written down, and communicated as formal contracts. Your decisions also involve physical distribution and logistics. What modes of transport would you be using? What kind of warehousing would be done? Very, very carefully. As you're doing all of this, because these are external members to the organization, you need to have performance criteria set down. So how would you evaluate them, and how would you actually monitor the performance? At the very start of this session, I said as we shift towards digital marketing, there are components of the marketing mix that may need an adaptation. So you would see that the first 4 components are what we talked about already, but then we also need to involve things like process, people, and physical evidence. So all of these are additional components that will be utilized in your promotion mix. These are to digital marketing. Again, each of them has a number of variables, which I'm not going to read out. This is information for you to be evaluating and sharing. What are the determinants of the marketing mix? How does the marketing mix get finalized and decided? These are some of the variables that impact the determination of the marketing mix. The first variable is, what is the stage of the market? Is it a new market? It's just been started. People are just beginning to understand the kind of value that is being offered, or this need hasn't really been filled in the way that is sought to be filled now. Take the example of the time when mobile phones were first introduced. People were used to fixed lines. A new market would have a large number of implications, in the sense the product idea would have to be introduced. People would need to be introduced to the kind of product benefits. A lot of primary demand cultivation will have to be done, and so on. So that is the first variable. The second variable is, what is the demographics of the consumers that you are targeting for this particular product? What is their capacity to pay? What is their literacy levels? Their literacy level would decide what kind of promotion mix you can use in terms of print media or digital media or audiovisual media, and so on. So demographics are a major determinant, in the sense you need to adapt your product, your messaging, your pricing to the demographics of the customers. Customer characteristics. What do the customers want from a certain kind of value offer that you are creating there? What are their buying habits? They do mostly online buying. So what are the characteristics of your customers? What are their buying preferences? What are how are these preferences changing over time, and so on? The nature of the product, whether it's a perishable product or it's a packaged product which has got a long shelf life, and other variables like whether the product is a luxury product versus a fast-moving customer product. and so on would determine what kind of channels would you choose, what kind of pricing can you put, what kind of promotion would you have to make for that product. You would be studying, or you may have already studied, the concept of the product life cycle, that each product passes through a sort of a different stages in its life, right from introduction to stabilization and growth to accelerated growth to maturity. Introducing a product, you may have a different kind, may have to have a different kind of pricing mix and a different kind of promotion mix versus when the product is at the decline stage or at the maturity stage. And the last variable that I would like to talk about is what is the kind of economic environment within which the marketing activity is being undertaken, whether it's an environment of stagnation or rapid inflation, or is it is the market sentiment depressed. That would determine what kind of pricing policies, what kind of packaging, what kind of surround of value that you can give to your own product. I would like to end now, except that I would like to finish with a small practice exercise that I want to give to you. You can do it at your own leisure, but this would also, from the product line that you have been using, just select a newly introduced product, a mature product, and a product at the decline stage. Try to compare what is their marketing mix and try to evaluate how does this marketing mix vary. When you're doing that, try to find out the reason why should it vary. That would give you a sort of a grip of understanding the concepts related to marketing mix determination. Thank you very much. Dear learners, welcome to this session on pricing objectives. My name is Madhulika Kaushik and I've been a marketing teacher for almost a little over 40 years. So we'll be talking about the objectives of pricing, and before we go there, I want you to look at the learning outcomes of this session. I would like you to be able to do these actions or be able to perform these actions as a result of going through this session. You should be able to describe how pricing objectives shape marketing decisions and shape pricing decisions. You should also be able to discuss the various pricing objectives and distinguish between the different pricing objectives. You should be able to apply the concepts that you have learned here to setting prices. So what are the price setting in practice? Apply the understanding of your objectives to price setting practices. You should be able to explain how these objectives that we are talking about vary over different marketing and product situations. So based on various, you would find that pricing objectives may vary. Now, when you want to define your pricing objectives, what are we going to really do? When you're looking at your pricing objectives, you are actually determining the level at which the desired exchanges will take place. So if you are looking at a particular target segment of the market, what is the level at which you think your exchanges will take place? So you need to identify, looking at the market demographics, looking at your consumers, looking at the competitive situation, what do you want your pricing to actually do for you? Do you want your pricing to maximize your current profits or bring in the maximum number of consumers and therefore maximize the total number of consumers? You need to really say, what do I want my pricing to do for me? And It has got financial as well as communication level effects, in the sense, what is it that a very high price communicates to the market in terms of price quality relationships, in terms of inaccessibility of a product for a large number of people. Similarly, what does a very low price communicate? So a price level or a finite price has financial meaning, but it also has some communication implications. As we talked about in the last session, pricing objectives may actually vary at the different levels of the product life cycle, and also with marketing environment, different kind of economic environment, different kind of marketing environment, you may find that your pricing objectives are actually needing to be adapted. Prices are also capable of creating certain perceptions, which we talked about earlier when I said prices have a communication implication, and we'll be talking about some of these things as we go further in the session. You must also understand that today the pricing environment is also very, very different compared to some years ago, because instant price comparison on the basis of access to internet, on the basis of what is called ratings, and something like a policybazaar.com or paisa.com, all of these, you can actually have, or bettervalue.com, you can actually have comparisons of various prices for insurance products and other products. Even otherwise, there are rating agencies that when they rate products and services, they can actually give you price information. Price catalogs are available online. You can look at aggregators which compare prices for you and give you that information. Now, if that price information is very clearly available to people, then price becomes a different kind of determinant of consumption, because now instant comparisons are possible. People can actually use all that comparative information to use price and compare the various features at which this price is being charged, and therefore make their decision fairly instantly. What are in actual under certain conditions is survival. I mean, when you want to just stay in the market and not be ousted from the market, or you are just a new player and you want to find a ledge to stand in the market and offer things initially at a lower price so that you can survive in the market. As your consumer franchise grows more people begin accepting your product at that price, you then have more flexibility to change your price. The second objective which companies sometimes use is creating entry barriers. A particular firm comes into the market and has a great product, has a large market in that particular domain. Therefore, what they try to do is they keep the prices so low that it becomes unattractive for other people to come in, because they realize that the margins are so low that I probably would not be able to operate there. So one of the objectives that is sometimes kept, and there are ethical questions on that, but creating entry barriers is one of the objectives that is sometimes applied. There are times where the market is very competitive and the market has become very volatile, either because of changed cost behavior, or the price of one particular raw material has become highly fluctuating, and therefore the market becomes either by a cooperative activity or whatever, agree to have a stable price, and most of them begin charging that price so that the market becomes more stable, and they aren't this effect of volatility does not affect people negatively. So that is also one of the objectives that people utilize. Sometimes market dominance. You can see what is happening to India's telecom sector. You can see what is happening to India's internet access sector, the internet service provider sector, there are a few players which are so dominant that they price their product to oust competition. I mean, the competitors are there, but the prices are by the market leader, the prices are sometimes brought so low that it is difficult for other competition to survive. Sometimes this is called predatory pricing. Is open to legal action, but ousting competition is also one of the objectives that marketers sometimes utilize. Let us look at some of the other objectives. Sometimes when you are in a market and you know that your product will be a popular product for a certain period of time, you price your products so as to maximize current profits, whatever the traffic can bear. So you take your margin to a level where it will give you the maximum returns at a point in time. A related pricing objective is also to have maximum or to have a certain return on your investment. You look at what is the margin that I can charge which will maximize my returns in a given period in time. So that is another kind of objective. An objective slightly diametrically opposite to that is maximizing market share. You're not looking at your current profits, you're not looking at maximizing returns at a point in time. You are looking at having the maximum number of people coming and buying your product. So you are looking at objectives which can maximize your market share. That means when companies come in with a new product, they have a very, very small price point so that they can penetrate an existing market. This is known as price discrimination over time. So as they come in, they keep a very low price so that a certain level of customers will get attracted to that product and start buying, become more stabilized as far as their own margins are concerned. Then another objective which is also related to maximizing market share is value for money market. You look at the consumer's capacity to pay and then you try to create a very small margin for your product so that you do earn something, but it is very good value for the customers compared to the other competitive products. So it's value for money pricing. He's getting very good value for the money that he's paying. Sometimes you actually go below that margin. When you have a complete product line, you have certain products which have fairly healthy margins, but you have certain products which can actually draw the customers to your product line and then they get exposed to the leader pricing. This is a hook that is created by companies to bring the customer in, and then when he gets exposed to the other products, he buys those products as well. So this is where you actually price the product a little below its cost or very, very thin margins and so on. A variant of that is product line pricing. You look at what are the different products and what are the complementary products and so on. What are the products that will be bought with your other products, and you price your products based on complementary pricing of the other components in the product line. Some of the other objectives that are utilized by marketers are skimming the market pricing, which is again another price discrimination over time. When it's a new premium product or a new technology that has just been introduced, the product comes with a very high price. There would be people who would be willing to pay a premium price to be the first ones to own that product, because the product has got a sort of a specialty value and gives people a certain status consciousness, so they pay higher and buy that product. Now, over a period of time, when large number of people start owning that product, the distinguishability of the product on the basis of its novelty goes down, and therefore it becomes more commonplace, and people then marketers then bring down the price. So it's a price discrimination over time. In penetration pricing, we had an initial low price and then we raised the price. In case of skimming the cream, you try to skim. The objective is to take off the benefit of the milk, that is the common market. Another objective is cost leadership within marketing. Now, this or in a given market, this happens when a large player, on the basis of economies of scale, is able to create a certain cost leadership, that they are able to minimize their costs on the basis of the efficiencies on account of economies of scale. Now, it is possible for them to pass the advantages of these cost leadership to their major customers and enable them to have cost efficiencies in turn, and therefore create this cost leadership position in the marketplace. Third objective, and this is something I've been talking about since the beginning of this session, is one of the objectives of pricing is also to communicate price quality relationship. Because clear indications of quality are not available, there is a tendency among customers to use high prices as a surrogate indicator of high quality. We believe that something that is the highest price would also be the best quality. This may or may not be true. Of course, the better price product may have a quality differential, but the quality differential may not be commensurate to the price differential. However, companies deliberately use their prices to create a quality image, and of course, they create what is called a price ladder, where the same company would be having a lower quality variant at a lower price and a higher quality variant at a much higher price. There are some companies which have only the highest level pricing image with respect to their customers by using price as a variable. Sometimes your objective is not to have the highest possible share in the market or the highest possible return. Your objective is to establish a long-term loyalty. Therefore, you have what is called membership-based pricing, which is different from other kinds of pricing. In the sense, people who are members get a lower price. All of these Amazon Prime, your Grofer wholesalers and food retailers actually create a different price for their members, so that they can ensure that these people will be with them because of the price advantage over a long period of time. So you're trying to buy loyalty of people. It's partial cost recovery, that you don't want to cover all the costs, and this is usually done by non-profit organizations, that you're trying to cover some of your costs, not all costs. So this is again, as I said, this is normally done by non-profit organizations who do not want to create a large surplus. They, however, want to cover some of their costs. Again, when there is a new consumption that is being promoted in the market, you are bringing in a new value to the market. You sometimes need to make the market, you need to develop awareness in the market, you need to develop a certain consumption and take the market to a certain level. This is called market making objectives. So the primary demand may not be there, you may need to cultivate that demand, and you may need to have adoption is very low. So those pricing objectives are called market making objectives. How do pricing objectives differ for services? Are they really different? You are all aware of the differences between products and services, and there may be a session specifically on services marketing. I don't want to delve into that, but services have certain slightly differential practices. For example, most services have a membership based approach. When you want to charge the fees to a certain group of students, they have to first become members of the institution, and therefore it would be on the basis of their membership. People who are non-members, who are not what is called registered students, may become your adjunct students, or there would be a different price. When it's a non-profit service where they rely on donations to take care of the other costs, but to the customers they only charge what is called a partial cost recovery. There are examples of non-profit hospitals or charity hospitals where a certain small amount is charged so that a partial cost recovery can be made. We talked about the price quality relationships through pricing. Services are a major users of this kind of approach. Clubs, gymnasiums, hotels, other hospitality products utilize premium pricing to create a quality image for their own product and so on. And therefore, prices are used to establish an image of exclusivity, luxury image and so on. So, their pricing objective is setting up a certain premium image in the marketplace. Pricing also can be utilized in case of services to minimize the risk of the first trial. When you are experiencing a service for the first time and you're trying to experiment with a particular service, normally you are given a certain free trial. You would all have seen these examples of Netflix saying for first month it would be a free service. They hope that you will get so used to the service by the end of the first month that you would actually buy for money. All of these communication packages, even your, I'm coming back to the health club example, when they want you to be experiencing that service, they give you 2 sessions free or 1 session free and hope that that session would be so attractive that you would take a full-fledged membership. Again, a lot of services are also subject to compliance and regulation. You cannot charge beyond a certain level. So, the easiest example is primary school fees. Most state governments put certain compliance requirement and you have to comply by not charging beyond a certain level. For certain life-saving surgery packages, for health packages, there are regulatory pricing that is put in place and those have to be followed. So, services sometimes have to comply by these and the objective therefore cannot be maximum return of investment or maximum market share, but to comply with the regulations in place. As I round up this session, I would like to leave you with a small exercise. Identify one product in each of these categories: in the introduction stage of product life cycle, at the maturity stage of life cycle, and at the decline stage of life cycle. Look at the prices that have been kept and try to surmise what kind of pricing objectives would have been there behind that kind of pricing, and try to explain to yourself on the basis of what you have studied here why a certain pricing objective is more suitable at that particular stage. So, I want you to comment upon how the pricing objectives vary and explain to yourself as to why do they vary. That's your exercise for your own self-evaluation. Thank you very much. Dear learners, today we are going to talk about factors that affect determination of prices. In the last session that we did together, we talked about pricing objectives and how our pricing objective set, what are the ways in which these differ over life cycle of the product, or the way in which they differ over different types of organizations. So, today we are going to talk about factors that come into play when prices are being determined. In some cases, you would also look at the same kind of content under price setting in practice. So, today basically we are just going to talk about factors that impinge upon the determination of pricing. Now, as a result of going through this session, I expect all of you to be able to perform these things. You should be able to discuss the inputs that form the basis of price setting, what goes into the price setting decision. You should also be able to explain the factors and list them out in terms of how they determine prices. The two major factors that come into play in price determination are demand and supply for goods and services. So you should be able to describe what is the significance of demand and what is the significance of alternative supplies in product itself, and the set consumers of a given product as relatively specific to a company. There are external third parties that impact the price determination. These are people like competition, your suppliers and your intermediaries. You should be able to explain what is the role that these people play in your price determination. And you should also be able to comment upon the role that the consumer psychology plays in enabling a certain level of price. We do talk about, in the last session when we were talking about marketing mix variables, we said that this is the most manageable of all P elements, that the company has a relative freedom in setting its prices. However, this choice is not unbounded. This is a bounded choice, and this choice that you have of setting your prices has two major limits. The floor of your decision is provided by the cost. No company can keep on pricing its product below the cost at which it is producing the goods. You need to cover, in order to survive, you need to cover your costs, and you need to create a margin so that you can grow and you can have some returns on the investment that you have made. So for every price decision, the floor is given by, below which you would not be able to price your goods for long. You may do it for a very limited time when you are entering the market, or you are trying to have some other objective of ousting the competition or whatever. So you could do it for a very limited time, but beyond a certain time you cannot do that. The ceiling of the pricing decision, beyond which you cannot go, is determined by the consumer's capacity to pay. What is it that your consumers can actually pay for that kind of product or those kind of goods? Beyond that, even if you price the product, there will be no takers for the product. So between these two ranges, you will have to price your product. Remember, for some products, this could be a very wide range. For exclusive, innovative novelties in the market, you could have a very high aspirational value in the mind of the consumer, and the consumer to pay a certain price by the consumer may be very high. So you have a large range of choices at which you can set your price. So, but for most products and services, it may not be a completely unbounded choice. So these are the two boundaries within which prices have to be set. An additional filter is also added by the competition. You cannot be too far out of the prevailing price, except when you are creating a complete innovation, a complete novelty in the market. Then you are sort of beyond existing competition, and you can charge whatever you want. But in cases of products which have got alternatives, for which there are other choices that are available to the consumers, your competition's prices become a frame of reference for your own consumers. And therefore, now if you look at the determinants of pricing decision, there are several determinants. Some of them are related to the demand by the consumer. What kind of demand, what level of demand, and what is the way this demand is responsive to price changes. So some factors are related to consumer demand. There are others which are related to the company's own costs and the cost of delivering goods. You may have different objectives. The subject matter of our session immediately preceding this session, where we were talking about pricing objectives. So what were your objectives when you began initiating the price discussion? And the prices of certain goods and services. For example, telecom prices are regulated in this country. You also have prices of essential goods sometimes being regulated, cannot go beyond a certain price. We have also seen situations where pharmaceutical goods like valves that are used for for the heart and angioplasty situations, those are, the prices are now regulated, that even if you are buying, these are actually called stents. So when you are buying stents from abroad, you cannot price them beyond a certain price and charge which are called usurious rates at which you can make huge profits. So government tries to come in and regulate these things on related to consumer demand. We need to have an idea what is the extent of demand of this product. How many people actually want this product and are active consumers of that product. You may have a certain degree of pricing freedom if there is a large number of people looking for your kind of product. The other factor that modifies this variable a little is what is the level of price sensitivity. Is this the kind of product where the responsiveness of demand to changes in price is very high? So when the demand is very elastic, a small change in price can make huge changes in demand, then you need to be very careful about initiating and making pricing changes or setting the initial price at a level where you will maximize your demand, which also brings us back to what we studied in the slide on pricing objectives. Sometimes you price to get the maximum share of the market. So depending upon what is your existing level of demand and how sensitive are your consumers to changes in prices. What is the price at which the goods are available otherwise? So if you price it a little higher and also imbue it with a certain image of giving something extra for that extra price, that your demand may not really be affected. You have in your sessions on product heard about product differentiation. So if you differentiate your product a little, you may be able to get away with some price hikes which the consumer may be willing to pay because he believes that he is getting extra value. So this is the variable that has got a huge before you sit down and start pricing your products. So if a product enjoys a huge demand, the producers have a slight degree of flexibility in setting prices at a level that they think will bring in desired exchanges. The second determinant, which is again related to demand, is the availability of substitutes. How many alternative choices do consumers have for this very product? Let's talk about brands of toothpaste. If you're talking about relatively undifferentiated, everyday kind of freshness based toothpaste, there are so many variables that are available. There are so many variants of this product that are available in the market. So if a certain company there are other alternatives, maybe equally good alternatives, sometimes better alternatives available at similar prices, so they may want to shift. There are alternative options. I mean, substitutes and options are slightly different in the sense that consumers may have alternative modes of consumption that they start using. Petrol prices getting too high, people may actually start pooling cars, or they may start using public transport like metro. So what are the alternative options of that kind of consumption that people may start using? When coffee becomes very expensive, people start using chicory blends instead of coffee. So that's an alternative consumption which gives people similar, not exactly identical, but similar kind of satisfaction. So what are the alternatives? Buying your competitor's product and they are fairly used to that product. In order to initiate a change of preference, you may have to create a price point that is attractive for people to buy. So get them to at least bite or take the bait and buy your product once, so that they get exposed to your product and start buying. So sometimes if the consumers are too resistant to change, you may have to use price as a tool to break that resistance. Interestingly, because indicators of quality are not easily available, consumers have a tendency of using high prices as a surrogate indicator of quality. So This is some item, luxury goods or exclusive products. The high price is sometimes kept so high that it creates a non-mass market specialty product kind of an image, and people believe that's a high quality product. Please remember, high prices may be related to a higher level of quality, but more often than not, the price differential is not directly translatable into a quality differentials. So when consumers look at these goods and services, they find that a higher price product is better quality. But is it, if the price is 50% high, is the quality also 50% or more better, which is something that is hardly ever verifiable. So these price quality perceptions can be created. So sometimes high certain clubs, apparel, designer wear, all of these, a certain price perception is used to create a quality image. Sometimes you may find that if you raise the price in small steps, consumers sometimes do not perceive this upward price revision, and therefore marketers sometimes keep a certain base price and then raise it in very, very small steps, so that this is below the level of perception of an average customer who does not realize that the price has been raised and keeps on buying. So a common activity that is sometimes followed is the goods have been priced, if I go to $79.99, so you remember an odd price, and that price change is sometimes not perceived by the customer, but it has added a revenue stream to the manufacturer. Okay, this is one set of factors. The other set of factors is related to your internal variable of cost. What is the cost structure of the firm? Do you have a large fixed cost and a small variable cost component? Do you have a large variable cost component? Therefore, with the level of production, where you go into mass production, your costs per product actually come down to a great extent. Then your freedom of pricing becomes very, very different, because you can leverage this economies of scale. You also need to understand very clearly what is the nature and operation of my costs. If you add a product line, what are the additional costs that you are adding? And therefore, what is the way in which, because the basic production setup being the same, additional costs of producing that variant by changing certain components of the product or certain attributes of the product. Now, those additional costs will be dependent upon what is the total demand for that variant, and as the demand grows, your total cost would come down. What is the interplay of these costs? You need to understand very clearly the nature of the costs and how do these costs operate. You also need to have very clear understanding of and your level of service. There are what is called interesting set-offs between costs. If you use a faster mode of transportation to take your goods to your consumers, your inventory costs may come down, but your transportation costs will go up, and the degree to which it goes up may actually offset your reduction in inventory costs. So this interplay of costs and how they are interrelated to each other are important to understand, because they will determine the way in which your costs will move. And we just discussed that your total cost actually forms the floor below which you cannot go. So you need to have an idea of the total cost, or have what is called interrelationships. We just talked about inventory and transportation as an example, and there are other examples like that. You may be able to sell far more by advertising to a different set in a different market or different set, but the other costs of developing demand in that market may also become operative. So understanding of these costs and how do they affect you in the short run and in the long run is important. Sometimes companies have found it very profitable not to do all the things themselves. For example, part of their production they may outsource to other agencies who may give them a more efficient cost structure. Therefore, you outsource yourself or assembling yourself and selling it. A good example is the automotive sector. A large number of parts are actually manufactured by other people who specialize only in that component. So OEMs, or original equipment manufacturers, who do all of this and then supply it to the manufacturers. There are cars where the steering wheel is outsourced to one OEM supplier. The non-essential parts like the furnishings and all are produced by something else. Obviously, the audiovisual companies would be producing the AV equipment for the car and so on, and all of these. So companies sometimes therefore find that a cost on which you can afford to sell, I mean the cost at which you can profitably operate in the market. So this is again one of the approaches that is being utilized increasingly in the market today. One of the major determinants, in fact, one of the primary determinants of your pricing decision is what are the company objectives. When you start functioning in the market, you have certain objectives that you are looking for from your pricing function. In fact, the question to answer is, what do I want my pricing to do for me? If you are in a stage where you are struggling to find a place in the market and you're trying to find a foothold, the objectives of your pricing may actually be just to survive. So you operate on really thin margins and just try to keep your head above water in the hope that if multiply your demand and then go into a growth phase where you can breathe a little easier. If your objective is growth, then again you begin with, we talked about this in the last session, that you begin with a small price margin and then you keep on increasing your margins as your demand multiplies. If your objective is market entry, then you can have two kinds of pricing approaches. One is if your product is a novelty, it's never been seen in the market, it has got a hugely distinctive advantage which is perishable over time, then you choose what is called a skimming the cream kind of market entry strategy, and you take whatever the market can bear at a point in time, and gradually as the product loses its distinctiveness and becomes more common, you bring the prices down. Examples are technologically superior product that comes to the market. For example, digital cameras when they first came in, internet TV when it first comes in, the price is very high, and as it becomes more commonplace, as more competition comes in, there are more variants that become available, the prices become more reasonable. The other approach where you are trying to enter a competitive market or trying to enter a market where the consumer demand is not very vibrant, you keep a small price, you keep a very, very low price and get an entry into the market by penetrating the market. That is called penetrative pricing policy. So those are some of the objectives while you are doing market entry. So you try to use the low price to break down people's resistance to buy, in the hope that when people start using the product that they will like it so much. I still remember when I was a student, the Maggi noodles had made its entry into the marketplace and the price was 2.90 rupees. Nobody would believe it now. So it was such a low price that the risk of experimentation was so low, and people found that as they quite enjoyed the product, and they were the prices were raised in very, very small volume, very, very small steps, to the extent that for a very long time the product was available at 5 rupees, years later. So this is how the product makes an entry into the market, either by skimming or by penetrating the market. Sometimes your market objectives are to oust the competition. Because you've been operating at a certain scale and because you have a certain volume of demand and you have maybe your order book looks good, or it would make it so unviable economically for the competition to survive, that one by one the weaker competitors start leaving the market. You have the situation of telecom pricing in India. There are other kinds of, and some of them are actually on the boundary of strictly legal practices, but ousting competition, again a marketing objective that is followed. A related pricing objective is loss leader marketing, where you price your product below cost. When this happens, when you have a fairly complete product line, there are some products that are frequently used product. You keep the price of the frequently used product low, that the customer comes in and he gets exposed to your remaining product line and customer gets exposed to the other products and this is called loss leader pricing. Apart from the cost factors and the demand factors, there are certain other factors like what are the competitive practices and what are the responses of the anticipated response of the competition when you keep your price at a certain level. If you keep your prices very low and the entire competition reacts by reducing their prices also, nobody really gains, because the customers still get distributed because there's no real difference between, as far as the price is concerned, no real difference between the various producers, and people get redistributed between the different competitors. What happens is that the whole industry is left with lower price returns because everyone has reacted and evaluating what is likely to be my competitor's response if I keep a very low price. If I keep a very high price, or if I raise my prices suddenly and nobody responds, then there is a danger that some of my customers can actually go to my nearest competitor because there is such a difference between. So one of the determinant of your pricing decision is also what is the price at which my competitor is selling. Therefore, can I afford to be radically different? Can I afford to be very high? Can I afford to be really very low? You need to evaluate those choices because if you're pricing your product fairly higher than the competitor's price, you need to give a commensurate value to the customer and distinguish your product significantly and communicate that difference very effectively, so that the consumer knows that this price difference is actually justified. Otherwise you may be losing out to your competitors. Again, if you make a price change and the competitors respond very fast, then your advantage that you are seeking in your price change actually gets lost. So these are variables that need to be evaluated before you initiate a price change or before you initially set your price, because you need to be aware of what are the charging for the same value that you are offering to the market. An external influence is that government policy. What is the government policy regarding electricity prices, regarding commodity prices, regarding prices of essential goods? Be responsive to those. Regulatory regime in certain sectors, the regulatory regime is fairly strict. Examples are prices of services. There are things like school fees and there are various state governments come out with a regulation that the school fees cannot go beyond a certain level, and so on. So these regulatory requirements need to be fulfilled. You have a choice if you want to operate in a particular market which is within this regulatory regime. You have to follow those. The last variable in other variables is industry practices. How does the industry generally price those? So there are prevailing practices in various kinds of industries. There are certain industries which are more monopolistic or have oligopolistic pricing practices. You have too much of pricing choice because there is a king demand curve, and therefore industry practices in terms of is there prevailing price charging practice? Is there and a sort of a monopolistic pricing? Do industries does your industry belong to a category where oligopolistic prices are in play, then you don't really have too much of a freedom in pricing your products. So what we have tried to cover in this session is what are the variables that impact your pricing decisions. I would like you to, as you leave this session, do a small practice exercise. That practice exercise is to just look at one particular product. The entire range of prices over which products in this category are available. Try to understand what could have been the factors behind keeping that. So look at the highest price product, the medium range, and the lowest range product. Try to relate them to companies' objectives of pricing objectives. Try to relate them to the kind of demand, and try to relate them to competitive practices. I'm sure you will have a very interesting time in comparing some of these. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, dear learners, I welcome you all on the session on Hire Purchase Account Part 6. So, well, dear learners, you all might have aware about the transaction, about the accounting treatment in case of hire purchase accounts. So, today the transactions or the goods which are of lower value, we will discuss how the accounting treatment will be made for those products whose value is comparatively very lower, like fridge, TV, scooter, etc. are also sold on hire purchase basis. So here, the retailers often keep a separate records for these transactions and compute the profit on hire purchase business separately. It involves a peculiar method of accounting and profit ascertainment. So today we will discuss how the accounting treatment will take place for the items which are not of substantial value, or we can say that which are of small value, like fridge, TV, scooter, etc. So when these items which are of small value are purchased on hire purchase basis, then how the accounting treatment will be made and how the transactions are to be recorded in the books of the buyer or in the books of the seller. Let us now discuss. Basic record for goods of small value sold on hire purchase. We are aware of the fact that with the advancement of technology and improvement in the standard of living of the people both in India and abroad, the demand for consumer durables like fridge, TV, automobiles, etc. has increased manifold, which attract the prospective consumers to purchase such goods. One such scheme is the sale on hire purchase basis. So let us now discuss how the items bearing small value will be recorded in the books of the buyer and in the books of the seller. In case of hire purchase transactions of numerous goods of small value, it becomes practically inconvenient for a particular dealer of these items to maintain separate accounts for each transaction. Hence, the accounting system is designed actions during a particular accounting period through control accounts. So, under this system, a mechanism has been developed, a mechanism has been designed in such a way that the buyer can have complete amount of control through the control accounts on all the items which have been sold during a particular period. So, let us now discuss how a complete control over these different items of goods are made under the hire purchase system. Then how the ascertainment of profit is made as far as selling of these items which are of very small. So, for ascertainment of profit or loss on goods of small value sold on hire purchase, we have to prepare a hire purchase trading account. So, it is just like a consignment account prepared for ascertainment of profit or loss on consignment of goods invoiced at selling price. For preparing hire purchase trading account, we require amount of goods sold on hire purchase, cash received, goods repossessed, hire purchase debtors in the beginning and in the end as well, and hire purchase stock again both in the beginning and at the end. Debit side of hire purchase trading account, hire purchase stock opening balance, here opening balance of hire purchase debtors, here by cash received, by goods repossessed, or this is what we call installment unpaid, the installment which could not be paid. So, this is by known as goods repossessed. Here two goods sold on hire purchase. So, here goods sold on hire purchase at hire purchase price will be written. So, here by hire purchase stock closing, so here debtors closing. So, then two loss on goods repossessed. So, here whatever amount of goods is, then the two loss on goods repossessed. This is the difference between market value or cost and unpaid installment. So, this is the difference between the two in order to calculate the loss on goods repossessed. Then two stock reserve. So, here you might have seen that the closing amount of hire purchase stock is given, which is here shown on hire purchase price. So, in this closing stock, whatever amount of loading will be there, that will be written here to stock reserve, that is loading on closing hire purchase stock, and two expenses on hire purchase business. So, any amount of expenses which have been incurred will be written here. This is the balancing figure to net profit transferred to the profit and loss account. Here you can see that opening stock of hire purchase opening stock is given, is included in hire purchase stock of loading. So, that will be written here by stock reserve, loading on opening hire purchase stock, opening hire purchase stock, by goods sold on hire purchase. So, here the two goods sold on hire purchase. So, again in this amount loading amount is included. So, whatever loading amount is included here, the same amount will be written here by goods sold on hire purchase loading. So, that way the amount of net profit or loss will be calculated. If the credit side total is more than the debit side total, then this will we will arrive at this to net profit, and if the total of this debit side is more than the credit side, then here we will write by the help of the illustration. Capital Electronics and company started business on 1st April 2018 for selling electronic goods on hire purchase basis. During the year end on 31st December 2018, following transactions were made. Krishna buy a TV costing rupees 3000 at rupees 4500. So, Krishna buy a TV whose cost was 3000 but was bought against 4500. Payable 1500 as down payment, and the remaining balance in 12 monthly installment of 250. So 12 multiplied by 250, 3000, and 15,000 was the down payment. So that way the higher purchase price 4,500. Vim buy grinder which was of rupees 1,000, but he has bought it against 1,500. It means higher purchase price is the 1,500. So payable rupees 300 as down payment. So out of 1,500, 300 has been made as down payment, and the remaining 1,200 has been paid monthly, 12 monthly installments of rupees 100 each. Arjun buy refrigerator costing rupees 2,400, but he has bought this against rupees 3,000. It means 3,000 is the higher purchase price, 2,400 is the cash price. Payable 600 as down payment. So out of 3,000, 600 is the down payment. So remaining 2,400 will be paid in monthly installments of rupees 200 in 12 monthly installments. As on 31st December 2018, Krishna could not pay one installment out of 7 installment due. So out of 7 installment, he could not make one installment. It means he has made the payment of 6 installments of rupees 250 each. I think it was of 250 each. Yes, for Krishna it was of 250 each. It means he made the payment of 6 installments of rupees 250 each. So that way he paid 1,500 rupees. Vim could not pay one installment out of the 5 installment due. So it means out of 5 he could not pay one installment. It means he paid 4 installments. 4 installment of how much amount? 4 installment of 100 each. It means he paid 400 rupees. And Arjun could not pay 2 installment out of 8 installments. So out of 8 means he paid 1,200 rupees. Calculate the profit or loss on hire purchase transaction. So let us see how the system will be evolved as far as recording the business transactions under the hire purchase system is concerned for the items which are of small value. So hire purchase trading account. So here, 2 goods sold on hire purchase 9,000 rupees. So we can easily calculate the amount of goods sold on hire purchase 9,000. It is very simple that the TV has been sold against 4,500. Grinder has been sold against 1,500, so 4,500 against 3,000. So total sales is 9,000. So here 2 goods sold on hire purchase 9,000, total is 9,000. So by cash received 5,500. So it can easily be calculated here. Here it is mentioned that Krishna could not pay 1 installment out of 7 installment. It means he paid 6 installments of rupees 250 each. So 250 multiplied by 6, 1,500 he made under installment, and how much he paid at the time of down payment? 1,500 as down payment. So 1,500 as down payment plus 1,500 installment amount, because he paid 6 is 1,500 as down payment, total he paid 3,000. Then next one is Vim could not pay 1 installment out of 5. So it means he paid 4 installment. So 1 installment is of rupees 400. So that way he paid 4,000 under the installment, and how much he paid as down payment? He paid down payment 300. So 400 plus 300, 700. So that way he paid 700. So Krishna paid 3,000, he paid 700, total is 3,700. Then come to the Arjun. Arjun could not pay 2 installment out of 8. It means he paid 6 installment of rupees 1,200. So total 200 multiplied by 6 installment, it is 1,200, and 600 1800. So total Arjun paid 1800 in the form of 600 as down payment and 1200, because out of 8 installment he could not pay 2 installment. It means he paid 6 installment and 1 installment is of rupees 200. So that way he paid rupees 1200 as installment and 600 as down payment. So total 1800. So 3000 Krishna made the payment, 700 Vim made the payment and 1800 Arjun made the payment. So 3000 plus 700 plus 1800, it becomes to 5500. So here by cash receipt 5500. By goods repurchase, it is not given in the question. Then by hire purchase, closing stock 2750 and by hire purchase debtors closing 750. So this we can also easily calculate. So let's see how we have calculated this. Yes, amount of installment due but could not paid. So Krishna could not pay one installment of rupees 250. So 250 multiplied by 1, 250. Vim also could not make one installment of rupees 100 each, so he didn't pay rupees 100. Arjun did not pay 2 installment of rupees 200 each, so that way he didn't pay 400. So total amount which was not paid is 750. So here we can go back 750 by hire purchase debtor 750. Now this stock we will calculate how it is arrived. Amount of installment which are not due. So Krishna, you see that the one installment is of 250. Krishna could not pay one installment out of 7 installment due. It means he could pay 6 installment. Vim out of 5 could not pay 1 and Arjun out of 8 could not pay 2. So let's see how things will take place. Yes, so from Krishna, one installment is of 250 and for Vim one installment is 100 and for Arjun it is 200. Total 12 monthly installments. So of rupees. So out of 12, you see what is written for Krishna. Krishna could not pay one installment out of 7 installment due. So 7 installment due. So how many installments are not due? 5 installment, because there were 12 installment. Total there were 12 installment of rupees 250. So out of 12, 7 installments are due. So it means 5 installments are not due. So one installment is of 250. So 250 multiplied by 5. Likewise, out of 12 installment, the 5 installments were, you see, 12. There were 12 installments. So for 12 installment, Arjun could not pay 2 installment out of 8 installment due. It means 8 installment due. It means 4 installments were not due. So 4 multiplied by 200. 4 multiplied by 200, 800. So total unsold goods is 2750. So this is how we have calculated by hire purchase stock 2750. So 9000, 9000. So here by stock reserves 810. So this is the amount of loading on this hire purchase stock. Out of 2750, 810 is the amount of loading. And here is the amount of loading. This is not closing, this is loading. This is a typographical mistake. So this is 2600 is the amount of loading which is included in 9000 goods sold on hire purchase. So let us see how this 2600 has been calculated and how this 810 is calculated, and this is the balancing figure. Out of 2600, 810, if we will subtract, then we will arrive at 1790 is the net profit. So see how 810 has been calculated, how 2600s have been calculated. Very simple. Yes. So loading on goods sold on hire purchase. So here Krishna, and for Vim it is 1500, and for Arjun it is 300. So total is 9000. So this is the hire purchase price, and this is the cash price. 3000 for Krishna, 1000 for Arjun, 1000 for Vim, 2400 for Arjun. So this is total is 6400. So if we will subtract this 6400 from this 9000, this is the 2600, which is the loading amount. So here you see that this amount 4500, 1500 and 3000, these are the figures which is given in the question, that this is the hire purchase price paid by the this hire purchase price is paid by Krishna, this hire purchase price is paid by Vim, this hire purchase paid by the Arjun, and this is the cash. This is the difference, 2600, 9000 minus 6400. Then on hire purchase stock, amount of the loading amount. So for Krishna, so yes, 1500 has been included as loading in 4500. So very simple, for 1250 it will be 417, because here you see that 1250 is the, here for Krishna buy TV costing rupees 3000 at rupees 4500, payable 1500. So it means this 1500 is included in this. So this 1500 is representing the loading of 1500 rupees as down payment, and the balance in 12 monthly installment of rupees 250. So the amount which is unsold. So now see, for Krishna it is yes, for Krishna could not pay one installment out of 7 due. So it means 7 installments are due, it means 5s are not due. So one installment is of rupees 250, so 5 installments will be 1250. So this is the amount of unsold stock of 1250, because so far only 7 installments has become due, and out of 12, when 7 installments has become due, it means 5 installments are undue. So 5 multiplied by 250, it is 1250. So if we will calculate for 1250, for this out of 4500, so for this 1250 it will be 4700. And for Vim, if 500 is included in 1500, so what will be included in 700? 234. If 600 is included in 3000, then what will be included in 800? In proportionate, it will be 160. So total is 810, which is included as loading amount, which is included as loading amount. Yes, which is included in loading amount. So this is the net difference, this is the balancing figure. Now we can treatment of goods repossessed. Repossess the goods which we have already discussed, the amount of installment unpaid. So this is also known as amount of installment unpaid, goods repossessed, also termed as installments due. So in respect of such goods are shown in the credit side of the first part of the hire purchase trading account. If the market value of such goods is given, or they have been sold out immediately on the repossession, the difference between unpaid amount and market value or sale value if sold out is treated as loss or profits on goods repossessed. If it is loss, same is debited in the second part of the hire purchase trading account, and if it is profit, it is rare, the same can be market value or sales value of repossessed goods is not available. In such a situation, the candidates, the learners are advised to have to adjust the loading involved in the unpaid installment in respect of such goods, because it is true, its true value is equal to its proportionate cost. Thus, having credited the first part of hire purchase trading account with the amount of unpaid installment, the learners must debit the amount of loading included in the unpaid installment. So let us see with the help of the example. This is the example which is given, that EG Payments Limited sell goods on hire purchase basis at a profit of 50% on cost. So it means 50 divided by 150. The following particulars are given for the year ending this, prepare hire purchase trading account. So hire purchase stock opening is given, installment due opening given, goods sold on hire purchase at hire purchase price is given, cash received from customer is given, goods repossessed value at installment due 6,000 and the market value is 3,000, hire purchase stock at the end 60,000, installment due at the end 16,000, expenses 19,000. So before calculating the hire purchase trading account, we must try to understand these things, that we must calculate the loading amount. So let's see how the loading amount will be calculated. So here opening stock, hire purchase stock opening, it is 18,000, it is given 18,000, it is given. Then to hire purchase debtor opening is given 10,000, it is given 10,000. Then to goods sold on hire purchase, it is given 1,74,000, 1,74,000. Then by cash received, it is given 1,20,000, it is given 1,20,000. By goods repossessed, it is given 6,000, goods repossessed 6,000, market value is 3,000, that 3,000 will be treated as loss, 6,000. Then by hire purchase debtors closing given 16,000, 16,000 closing is given, and this installment due 19,000, this 60,000 hire purchase stock at the end is also given, 60,000 this is given. So 2,02,000, 18,000. So 18,000, so how much the loading will be included, because it is based on 50% on cost price. So very simple, it means this 18,000 is representing the 150%. Then what will it represent 50%? So 18,000 multiplied by 50 divided by 150, so it comes to 6,000, 6,000. So the loading of this will come this side, the loading of this will come this side, very simple, 6,000. So here two goods sold on hire purchase 1,74,000. So again loading amount will be calculated by multiplying by 50 dividing by 150. So 50 multiplying by 50 divided by 150. So this will come 58,000. So total is 64,000. To loss on goods purchased 3,000, as we have already seen that the market value is 3,000. Stock reserve. So here the stock, yes, 60,000. So loading of this multiply by 50 divided by 150. So it is 20,000. 20,000. To expenses 19,000. It is given in the question. Expenses 90,000 given in the question. Then to profit and loss account 22,000 is the the balancing figure. Out of 64,000, if you subtract this one and this one, 42,000, you will arrive at net profit 22,000. So this is how the hire purchase trading account is maintained. So now this is all about the this session on hire purchase trading account. So I am sure that with the help of this illustration with the help of this example, the students now are well aware how the loading amount is calculated. So if it is given on the cost price, then the formula is the amount which is given in the question multiplied by rate divided by 100 plus rate. And for in case if it is given on hire purchase, instead of cost, if it is given that the profit is earned on higher purchase price, then very simple, the amount is the amount multiplied by rate divided by 100 minus rate. So in case of cost price, rate upon 100 plus rate, and in case of higher purchase price, rate minus rate divided by 100 minus rate. It's very simple. So this was all about the hire purchase trading account. So I am sure that with the help of this exercise, now students are very clear about the calculation of the loading amount which is included in stock and on goods sold. Well friends, I welcome you all in this session on hire purchase accounts. Well friends, in the previous lecture we had studied about the basic concepts of hire purchase accounts, and we had learned when the accounts are recorded under the hire purchase system and what sort of accounting treatment is done as far as the hire purchase transactions are concerned. So in line with that of today we will discuss that when total cash price and installments are given but rate of interest is not given, then how to determine the amount of interest as far as the hire purchase accounts are concerned. So in this we will discuss with the help of an example to make the learners understood and to make the when the interest rate is not given in the question. So it's very simple to determine the amount of interest when the rate of interest is not given. Friends, we had discussed an example in the previous lecture. So here we will see how the amount of interest is calculated. So here you know that in that particular example rupees 8,000 were paid as a down payment and 3 installments of rupees 8,000 each per annum was also supported 2,000, and the cash price was mentioned in the question that it is rupees 29,800. So the down payment is also given, that is rupees 8,000. So if we subtract the amount of cash price from the hire purchase price, so we can easily calculate the total amount of interest included in the hire purchase price. So here hire purchase price was rupees 32,000 and the cash price was rupees 29,800. So that way rupees 2,200 is the total amount of interest which is included in the hire purchase price. So let us see that out of rupees 2,000 included in each installment. So this is a total rupees 2,200 is the total amount of interest. So based on this, now we have to ascertain the amount of interest which is included in the annual installment. So it's very simple that in the beginning of the first year the total amount which is outstanding is rupees 24,000 because the total hire purchase price was 32,000 and out of 32,000 rupees 8,000 were paid to the hire vendor immediately as down payment. So therefore at the end of the first year the outstanding amount was 24,000. So here ratio 3 because all the 3 annual installments are calculate that total amount of interest is 2200 and when ratio is 3:2:1 it means at the end of the first year there are 3 installments which is lying pending, then at the end of the second year, then at the end of the third year. So here 2200 multiply by 3 divided by 6. So here the amount of interest is rupees 1100 which is included in the first installment of rupees 8,000. Then at the end of the second year the outstanding amount is 16,000 because another 8,000 rupees were also paid at the end of the second year, therefore the outstanding amount is 16,000. So here again we can easily calculate the total amount of interest was 2200 multiply by 2 divided by 6 because at the end of the second year the ratio is 2:6. So it is 733. So it shows that rupees 733 is included in the second year annual installment of rupees 8,000. Then we can easily calculate at the end of the third year the outstanding amount is 8,000. So here in 8,000 we can easily calculate the amount of interest which is included, that is 367 because the total amount was 2200 and the ratio is 1:6. So if we calculate it, it comes to rupees 367. So that way out of 2200 in the first year installment 1100 rupees were included, in the second year annual installment of 8,000 rupees 733 rupees were included, and in the third year installment of rupees 8,000 367 rupees as interest were included in the installment. So this is how we can calculate the amount of interest which is included in the annual installments. It's very simple. Next one is accounting record in the books of hire purchaser when asset is recorded at full cash price. So we will see, and again it's very simple. Only the thing which matter is that we must be very focused and we must try to understand the implications of the hire purchase accounts of hire purchase transaction, how these transactions are recorded, and when some informations are given particularly about the hire purchase transaction, then how to deal with those transactions. So it's very simple to calculate all those things. So here following are the asset is recorded at full cash price. So first one is when the asset is purchased on hire purchase. So very simple, asset is coming to us, therefore it must be debited as per the real account, asset account debit to hire vendor. And when the cash down payment is made, very simple, the cash is going out, therefore it must be credited vendor account debit to bank. Third one is when the first installment becomes due. It's very simple, interest account debit to hire vendor when the amount of interest is due, and when the installment is paid, it's very simple, vendor account debit to bank, because as per the personal account, vendor is the person who is receiving the payment. So any person receiving the payment must be debited and the cash is going out. So as per the rationale of the real account, we will apply the rationale of the nominal account. So all expenses and losses must be debited, depreciation account debit to asset. So here the asset is losing its value, so therefore asset account must be credited, otherwise we all know that all the assets have the debit balance, but in order to reduce the value of the asset, it must be credited. Then for transfer of interest and depreciation to profit and loss, because amount of interest and depreciation both are the loss or expenditure for the hire purchaser. Therefore any balance of expenses and losses must be transferred to the profit and loss account as per the rationale of the accounting. So the journal entry is very simple: profit and loss account debit to interest to depreciation. So here is a question from XYZ Limited under a hire purchase system of payment, under which 3 annual installments of rupees 2412 would be paid. There is no down payment and the cash price is rupees 6000. The rate of interest would be 10% and the depreciation rate would be 20% per annum, would be charged on straight line basis. So here the depreciation would be charged as per the straight line basis. It means the amount of depreciation will remain the same over a period of time. So here let's see the informations which have been provided in the question. The first one is date of purchase. It is mentioned 1st January 2016 and it is also mentioned that there is no down payment. It means the no amount was paid, payment becomes due. It means 31st December 2016, second installment 31st December 2017 and third installment 31st December 2018. So date of closure of accounts again 31st December. Cash price it is given 6000, then hire purchase price minus interest, annual installment. So there are 3 annual installment of rupees 2412. So if you multiply it, it comes to rupees 7236. So number of installments are 3, amount is given, mode of each installments is given, that is 3 installments of rupees 2412 each. Rate of interest 10% per annum, rate of depreciation 20% per annum, method of depreciation straight line method. So all the relevant informations have been provided and with the help of or in the books of the hire vendor. So we will prepare the ledger accounts in the books of ABC Limited. It means ABC Limited is the hire purchaser. So ledger account in the books of hire purchaser. So first it is machinery account and then the other accounts are there. So here the machine has been bought against rupees 6000. So we had made an entry machine account debit to hire vendor. So hire vendor is XYZ Limited. So it is 6000 rupees. Then we charge the depreciation. So we will charge the depreciation at the rate of 20%. So 20% of 6000 it is 1200. So by balance CD at the end of the year 4800. So total it is 6000. Then we will brought down this balance 4800. Again we will charging depreciation is straight line basis. So by balance CD 3600. So again it will be brought down next year. To balance brought down 3600. So by depreciation 1200. So by balance CD 2400. So this is how the asset account is prepared in the books of the hire purchaser. Next one is XYZ Limited account. It means hire vendor account. So generally hire purchaser will prepare 2 accounts in his books. First one is asset account and the second one is hire vendor account. So in the books of hire purchaser, hire vendor accounts. So when we will make the first payment at the end of the first year, we will make the entry hire vendor. Then we bought the machinery. So the entry was machine account debit to hire vendor. So we had credited the hire vendor account. So buy machinery 6000. And here at the end of the year, interest is also to be credited in the accounts of hire vendor. So we made the entry interest account debit to hire vendor. So by interest 600. So total it is 6600. And here at the end of the first year, 2 balance carried down. This is the difference between the credit side and debit side, 4188. So total is 6600. Now in the beginning of the next interest 418 rupees, total is 4606. Here again at the end of the second year we will make the payment of the second installment. 2 2412. So at the end of the second year, this is the balance of 2194. So total is 4606. So again, at the beginning of the third year, we will brought down this balance 2194, by balance brought down 2194, and again by interest at the end of the third year 218. So the total is 2412, and here at the end of the third year we will make the payment of the third installment, and the amount of installment is 2412. So here the account is automatically closed by having the equal amount in the debit side, and price was 6000. Add interest on first installment. So interest on first installment 6000 at the rate of 10%, it is 600. So total amount will be 6600 less first installment, it was 2412. So amount outstanding at the time of second installment would be 4188. Now we will calculate the amount of interest on this amount at the end of the second year. 10% of 4188, so amount comes to 418. So it is total is 4606. So less second installment, again it is 2412. So the outstanding amount at the end of the second year of third annual installment, that is 2412. So if we deduct the amount outstanding at the time of third installment 2194 out of the annual installment, we can easily arrive at the amount of interest which is included in the annual installment. This is how the amount of interest which is included in annual installment can be calculated. When the asset is recorded at cash price actually paid. So this is the second situation. The earlier situation was when the asset was recorded at full cash price. Now here the asset is recorded at cash price actually paid. So in this situation we know that in case of hire purchase, the ownership of goods passes to the hire purchaser, become the property of the buyer. He does not have any right to debit the asset account at its full price. Hence no entry is passed when the asset is purchased unless it involves down payment. Entries are passed as and when installment becomes due and the price of the product is paid. So the entries are, when the asset is purchased we will make no entry because here the no payment is made. Therefore when the asset is purchased, the hire purchaser has no right to debit the asset account, because until or unless he makes the last payment of the installment, he cannot debit the owner of that assets. So he cannot be an owner until or unless he makes the last payment to the hire vendor successfully. So here for cash down payment, entry is very simple: asset account debit to bank. Second one is when the installments becomes due. So it's very simple: asset account debit, interest account debit to hire vendor. So asset account will be debited with the amount of cash price of the installment, and interest account will be debited with interest on installments, that is amount of interest on annual installment. Then the next journal entry would be when the installment is paid. It's very simple: vendor account debit to bank, because vendor is a person who is receiving the payment. Therefore as per the ratio, so debit the receiver. So here vendor account is debited because he is receiving the payment, and here as per the rationale of the real account, so we will credit anything which is going out. So here the payment from the bank is going out, therefore we have credited the bank account. Fifth one is depreciation charges. So entry is very simple: depreciation account debit to asset. Then the last one is when interest and depreciations are transferred to the profit and loss. So just Now we had discussed that being the losses and expenses, all expenses and losses balances have to be transferred to the profit and loss account. So the journal entry would be profit and loss account debit to interest account to depreciation account. So here one thing which is very, very important, the learner must always keep this thing in mind while dealing with the hire purchase transactions. It should be noted that though the asset account is debited with the amount, debit the asset account with the cash price actually paid, not with the full cash price. The depreciation is charged on the full cash price. So depreciation will always be charged on the full cash price. Now the accounting treatments in the books of hire vendor. So we have now discussed the accounting treatments in the books of hire purchaser. Now we will discuss the accounting treatments in the books of hire vendor. So far as the vendor is concerned, a hire purchase sale is just like an ordinary sale, with the exception that payment is deferred over a period of time for which the vendor charges interest. He debits the hire purchases account with full cash price and credit is given to sales account. So the entry would count as and when the installments becomes due. It's very simple. Installment amount received are credited to the hire purchaser account. So entry would be cash account debit or bank account debit to hire purchaser and debited the bank account. So on sale of goods under hire purchase, very simple, hire purchasers account debit to sales account with full cash price. So when we will receive the down payment, entry would be hire purchaser account debit to sales. So here hire purchaser is the personal account. So as per the rationale of the personal account, debit anyone who is receiving on receiving the cash down payment. On installment becomes due. So when the installment becomes due, we will debit the hire purchaser account debit to sales. On getting the payment on due installment, hire purchaser account debit to sales. So here on getting the payment on due installment, account debit to hire purchasers, and here also bank account debit to hire purchaser. So it's typographical mistake, so kindly make it correction here. Here on receiving the amount, the entry would be bank account debit to hire purchaser. Here also bank account debit to hire purchaser. So illustration is given. On 1st January 2017, IFB Limited acquired machine from JK Limited. So here JK Limited is the vendor and IFB Limited is the hire purchaser for rupees 1886 cash price under hire purchase agreement, where rupees 400 was paid, 400 was paid as the initial payment. So this is the down cash, and prepare ledger account in the books of JK Limited. It means we have to prepare the ledger account in the books of the hire vendor, assuming the rate of depreciation at the rate of 10% based on the straight line method. So in the books of JK Limited, IFB Limited, so IFB is the hire purchaser and JK Limited is the hire vendor. So we have to prepare the ledger account in the books of hire vendor. So it's very simple. Let's see how to prepare. So the sales is made of rupees 1886 on 1st January. So the entry was hire purchaser account debit to sales. So IFB is the hire purchaser. So in the books of JK Limited, we will make the entry IFB Limited account debit to sales. So in IFB Limited to sales 1886. So here by bank. So here we made the entry, we made the payment of first installment. So again by bank 800. So here now the amount of interest is 89. So we can easily calculate the amount of interest. So this is the total amount of sales. So out of this, we paid rupees 400 as cash down payment and 800 at the time of first installment. So if we subtract 1200 out of 1886, so it is 686. So 686. So we can easily calculate the amount of interest. The rate of interest rate will be 6% per annum. So we can easily calculate the amount of interest. Later on we have calculated also. So now this is the bank balance by balance CD at the end of the first year, 775. This is the total of IFB Limited credit figure, 800. So interest account in the first year it was 8900. So interest for us, interest is the income. So we will prepare, we'll make the journal entry, profit and loss account debit to interest, and here 89 rupees to profit and loss 89 rupees, and by IFB Limited, because at the end of the second year when the amount of interest become due, we made the entry hire purchaser account debit to interest, hire purchaser 89 to profit and loss 89. So second year again by IFB Limited 25 to profit and loss 25. So for us, amount of interest is the income. So account of any incomes or gain is also transferred to the profit and loss account. Therefore, profit and loss account is written here. Working note. Yes, here this is how we had calculated the amount of interest for the first year 89, amount of interest for the second year 25 rupees. So here cash price was 1886, cash price, this is the down payment 400. So balance is 1486. So add interest on first installment to be paid on 31st December 2017 at the rate of 6%. So if we will calculate this amount, we will come to know that it comes to 89 rupees. Then the total is 1575. The 89 rupees is the amount of interest and 711 is the principal amount. Then on 775 we can easily calculate the amount of interest on second installment at 6%. So it comes to rupees 25, because total is 800, amount of second installment is 800. So again in the second year annual installment, rupees 25s are included as far as the interest is concerned, and rupees 775s are for the cash payment or for the principal amount. So this was all about this lecture on hire purchase accounts as far as the recording of transaction in case of hire purchase accounts are concerned. Thank you very much.
Hello learners, I welcome you all to this session. This is in fact the remaining part. Sessions we have seen first part of consumer or buyer behavior. In this session the remaining part will be covered. So in the previous session we have discussed that there are various factors that influence consumer behavior, and those factors were cultural, social, personal and psychological factors. And besides we have also seen the various kinds of differences between organizational customers and individual customers, and in individual customers also we could see the difference between the customer, the buyer and the consumer. Now in this session we are going to discuss the various kinds of buying roles that different people play. When a purchase decision is made, when a purchase happens, there are certain people which influence or which make that purchase happen. So we'll discuss that buying roles, and then we'll also talk about buying decision process. We'll talk of social media influence on buying decisions, and then we'll talk of buying happen. There are group of people who make this happen or who influence this. So who are the group of people? They can be categorized into initiators, influencers, deciders, buyers and consumers. So there's someone who initiates. So there may be a need felt, whosoever is the customer is, there may be a need felt, but somebody is there who is pushing it forward, that yes, you need it. For instance, suppose you are having a cup of coffee with your neighbor and you are discussing that it's getting difficult for you to commute to your office every day, and it's a long distance, and over the discussion say for example the neighbor is telling you that it is better if you buy a car and commute by your car, because is initiator. This initiator can be your neighbor, can be your family friend, can be your peer group, your colleague, anybody, or maybe your family members, your own family members. They can act as initiator. And then is influencer. So somebody who influences, you discussed it with the neighbor, neighbor pushed it, initiated it, and after that when you are discussing it with your family members, your spouse also says that yes, it is better if we need a car, because even if we go out somewhere, we need a car for family outing. So your decision is now being influenced, right? There was a need felt, it was pushed, and now it is being influenced. Your spouse may influence, your kids may influence, so it is influenced. And then the decider decides. You sit together, discuss it with the other people outside the family. I'm just giving an example. This can happen in various other ways. And so you're also discussing it with other people, with your friends, maybe your colleagues you're discussing, and then you actually buy. Then the buyer is buying. And once you buy, until now, unless you bought it, you were only working for it, and you're only perceiving that there is an intense need which should be satisfied, and to satisfy that need you have to buy a car. The moment you buy it and you start consuming it, you become the consumer, right? And then the real picture comes, and then you actually realize, as a consumer you realize whether it is actually satisfying your need or not, whether the commodity has utility in it or not. So this is this stage when you decide the utility of the commodity that you have bought. So likewise, if we see, there are certain steps which are taken. That means you perceive a need, that yes, there is a need. Once a need is perceived, how it is perceived? The initiator initiates it, then influencer influences, and then you decide that yes, this need should be satisfied and I should work on it, right? So you are perceiving a need. Then the second step is information search. Now you start looking for options that can fulfill your need, that have utility to fulfill your need, or that have values to fulfill your need. That is why it is also called as seeking value. Now you are seeking value in the market, whether there is some offering in the market or not. And then the third step is alternate evaluation. What are the various alternates that are available in the market? You start evaluating it, assessing it, and then you buy it. Then you make purchase decision. Then what you are going to do, you are going to buy the value of the offering. And then comes your post-purchase behavior. Either you are dissatisfied, or you are satisfied, or you are delighted, right? Now let us discuss one by one in detail all these steps. So the first step in buying process was need recognition. This is the first stage, as I said. First of all, you have to recognize that there is a need, or there should be an intense need. See, there are many needs. They are competing with each other. We have limited resources and needs are unlimited. So we cannot satisfy all our needs. So we have to make a choice. It's a science of choice, that is why we say, right? So we have to make a choice. We cannot satisfy all our needs. So then we need to see what is the intense need. If the need is intense, you'll start working on it. And if the need is not intense, maybe you can postpone it for later. Or maybe you can defer your decision to buy that particular commodity. So at this step, first of all, there should be a need felt. That need felt should be intense. It can be, from your inner self. It can be from the felt need, that you are feeling it. But there are, other stimuli also which influences or which tells you that this particular need is. And these stimuli can be marketing stimuli and other stimuli. It is also considered as external stimuli and internal stimuli. External stimuli, which is not related to your organization, or which is not, in your hand as a company, right? And the external stimuli is vested with the customers. And then what does in this stage, the attractive marketing mix is made so that it can stimulate need of the customer, right? What are the various stimuli? As I said, there can be marketing stimuli, there can be other factors, psychological factors, social factors, and cultural factors, right? These are the factors which influences a buyer decision of buying a commodity. Whether to buy or not to buy, it is affected by these four factors: personal, psychological, social, and cultural. We have already discussed this in the previous session. So the other stimuli are marketing stimuli, that is product, price, promotion, and place, marketing mix, for tangible commodities, and if your commodity is such that it is it's some element of intangibility is also there, or maybe your offering is intangible entirely in nature, then your marketing mix comprises of 7 P's and 3 P's gets added to it: people, process and physical evidence, right? So maybe you design your product in a way, the product is so attractive that buy, or maybe your promotional campaign was such that it customers could actually connect it and they want to buy, and so on and so forth. So you can work on all those marketing mix. You are preparing your marketing mix in such a way that the customer is kind of stimulated to buy your offering in the market. Likewise, like product price and promotion plays, suppose your the people in your organization who are working, the sales people who are working with the organization, sometimes they are so efficient that they make the customers feel need for a particular offering that they are offering. So even the efficiency of the people also works as stimuli to make some purchase to happen. The second step is information search. When the need is aroused, there is already an intense need, and now you want to fulfill that particular need. You want to satisfy that particular need. Can be satisfied, or it can solve your problem. So if the consumer's drive is strong and a satisfying product is near at hand, the consumer is likely to buy it then. Suppose I have a strong need, and maybe next door in the next door shop that particular offering is available which can satisfy my need, I can buy it then and there. But if not, then the consumer may simply store the need in memory or undertake an information search related to the need. Impulsively, I have gone somewhere, I am very thirsty, and at the next step there is a shop which is offering which is selling water, bottled water. I'll go and buy it. Fine. But suppose the need is such that you start looking for various alternatives. So first of all, what do? You try to list down various alternatives which are available which can satisfy your need, and for that you need to have information, and the information can be obtained from several sources. They may be personal sources, they may be commercial sources, they may be public sources, they may be experiential sources. So personal sources may be family, friends, neighbors and acquaintances, as I said, anybody who is around you, with whom you interact throughout the day, right? And then the commercial sources such as advertising, salespeople, dealers, packaging, displays, public sources such as mass media, consumer rating organizations, and experiential sources such as handling and examining the user or using the product. You are touching a product or you are seeing a product and you are attracted towards it, and now you want to buy it. So that is called experiential sources. So in this step, what we are doing, you are trying, and if yes, then how to go about it, right? The third step is evaluation of all the alternatives which are available in the market. You have listed out in the second stage or step, you have already listed down the various alternatives which is available in the market. Now in this step, what do? You start evaluating those. You start assessing the values which are being offered by various companies through their brands. You start evaluating it, you start assessing it, you start calculating or counting their pluses and minuses, their advantages and disadvantages, right? So evaluation of the attributes or features of product of different brands that you do. For example, a product like tea has certain common attributes such as taste, flavor, strength, aroma, color, number of characteristics of the product in brands such as the quality. You start evaluating the quality of various brands. You start comparing one brand with the other. So you are evaluating the qualities of various offerings, the prices of various offerings, the distinctiveness which is available, and then evaluation of brand images and brand concepts also that you do. And once you start doing all such things, what you are doing, you are eliminating in the process. You are striking out that this particular offering or brand is no, because this has this limitation. So you narrow down your list of available alternatives. You strike out some of the offerings and you are there with some of the alternatives, right? So you reduce the number of alternatives based on certain criteria, and now of the reduced number, then you have to make choice which one to buy or which one to purchase. Alternatives. Sometimes you negotiate also on the basis of the evaluation that you have done. On the basis of that, maybe you start negotiating with different kinds of brands, right? And then that is why it is said that this is a very critical stage in buying process, because this is the stage which decides whether the customer will buy your commodity or not, or your offering or not, right? So that is why it is a very, very critical stage. Needless to mention that social media has a great influence on this, in fact, in the entire thing, right from the arising of need, right from the feeling of need, the social media has an influence, right? Social media is acting as an important factor, and it is gaining greater importance day by day. Why? Because you can get all the reviews very quickly, right? On the social media, your friends, they are using it, and then they quickly make decisions, especially at this stage, especially at this step. The social media has a great impact, on the choice that the customer is going to make. So it is very, very important now for the companies, for the marketers, that they has to be visible online also, and not only visible, they have to be prominently visible online, right? And then the next stage is purchase decision. Now you felt that need, you started looking for all the alternatives which are available in the market, then you evaluated all the alternatives which are available in the market. Now you have to decide, of several alternatives, which one are you going to buy, which is the brand, which is the offering, which is the company you're going to choose, to satisfy your need. So the stage in which customer is actually buying the product is called the purchase decision. Yes. So what, where, when and how to buy. The purchase decision may be influenced by attitudes of spouse, friends and relatives, cost of the product, benefits of the products, etc. So even at this stage, your decision is influenced. And purchase decision includes decisions with regard to product, brand, dealer, quantity, quality, timing and payment. So at this stage, you were deciding whether to buy or not to buy. If not to buy, well and good. If you may want to postpone it, considering certain aspects, you may want to postpone it or defer your purchase decision. But if the answer is yes, that you want to buy it, then you have to decide what to buy, from where to buy, which is the company you would rely on, and how to buy it. And then comes the last step in this is post-purchase behavior. There, and you thought that a particular commodity you perceive that a particular commodity or offering can deliver the value which can satisfy your need. But now this is the stage that you have actually, made the purchase decision, you have purchased it, and now you are consuming it. Now this stage is very, very critical for the marketers, for the companies. Why is very critical? Because this stage is the kind of period or stage of result. The marketers, the companies are getting results because the customers they have already consumed it, or they are already consuming it. So now the perceived value is converted into actual value. So what they perceived and what they got, on the basis of that, on the comparison of that, they can either buy it. So unsatisfied customer, they perceived the value and they received the same value, right? So this is satisfied customer. So this may result in satisfied customer, and they perceived something, they perceived that they'll get this value, but what they actually experienced or when they consumed, what they actually realized that they have got this value. So in this case, the customer is happy, the customer is delighted, and having delighted customers is, the aim of each and every marketer, each and every company who is a profit-making company, right? And even if not profit-making company, then also having delighted customer is the ultimate aim, is the ultimate goal of the organization. Now, up till now we have seen that there were certain stages or there were certain steps which are followed when the customer is going to make purchase decision. Now we'll see what are the various types of buying, different types of offering. For example, buying a toothpaste and buying a car. So the way you buy a toothpaste is different than the way you are going to buy a car. There will be a lot of difference. So on the basis of that, or considering all these factors, we can classify the buying decision behavior into 4 categories. One is complex buying behavior, the other is dissonance reducing buying behavior, third is variety seeking buying behavior, and fourth is habitual buying behavior. Complex buying behavior. When buyers are buying an expensive commodity or infrequently bought commodities or products, right? then the behavior that they will show will be called as complex buying behavior. Why? Because in buying this kind of commodity which are expensive, which are not frequently bought, the buyers are highly involved. And highly involved, when I say highly involved, it means they are highly involved in the whole purchase process, and they do a lot of researches before buying such products. So on the basis of they think, n number of times, and they need a lot of information. So they spend quite some time in researching, for that particular commodity. So that is why the commodities which are expensive or which is infrequently bought, for example, you are going to buy a car or maybe you are going to buy a house, then in that case the kind of behavior that you show as a customer is complex buying behavior. The second is dissonance reducing buying behavior. When buyers are highly involved in the purchase decision but has difficulties determining the differences between brands, right? The commodities are expensive, so you are going to make a heavy investment in that, right? But at the same time you are finding it difficult to decide which one to choose. So in that case, the kind of behavior that you show as a customer is called as dissonance reducing buying behavior, because whenever you are making a decision, you are worried all the time whether you are going to regret after purchase or you will be happy. So the buyer here itself is so they are so confused, that again they sometimes, even while making the purchase decision, they do kinds of researches again and again, right? So for example, when you are going to choose between expensive mobile phones, so the mobile phones which is expensive, and there are certain companies, brands which are offering you the same kind of quality, appearance and services and apps, whatever you want in the mobile phone, and it is so close to each other. The competitive products are so close to each other that you are getting confused. Buying behavior. And then comes habitual buying behavior. There are certain kinds of commodities for which you don't make, you don't take much time in picking that up, that are in your regular use. So you have a habit of going and picking those commodities. So every such commodity is called as habitual, or when you are going to buy such kind of commodity, then you are showing habitual buying behavior. So in this kind of situation, buyers have very little involvement in such products. They have their set of preferences, and on the basis of those preferences, they just pick the commodities and fill their baskets. They are frequently bought products. They are used, you buy it frequently. They are recurring products. For example, when you are going to go for grocery shopping, you don't think much. The toothpaste that you buy every time, you will pick up the same, tea leaf. In that case also, you have a habit, you have a taste which is developed. So without giving much time to it, you will put those commodities, you will pick those commodities and you will buy it. So when you are showing this kind of behavior, this kind of pattern, it is called as habitual buying behavior. And then comes variety seeking buying behavior. There are certain commodities and services, in which the customer seeks varieties. It is not that they are satisfied with one variety or not satisfied with one variety. It is just that they want to change. They want to switch the brand just to experience the difference, or maybe just to experience the variety. So in this case, the consumer is showing variety seeking buying behavior. Again, I would say that it is not because that they are not satisfied with a particular commodity or service. It is just because they want to experience, they want to taste different thing. For example, when you are eating out, when you are making decision for that, many times it happens that you want to change. That today we have had this, maybe after a week when we are going to have going to eat out in the restaurants, maybe I'll try another restaurant for different tastes, for different flavors. Now we'll discuss of different kinds of buying motives, because buying motives are the stimuli which stimulates the consumer to buy a particular product, right? According to Professor D.J. Duncan, buying motives are those influences or considerations which provide the impulses to buy, induce action and determine choice in the purchase of goods and services. So motives can be product buying motive or maybe patronage buying motives. So product buying motives again can be categorized into emotional product buying motives and rational product buying motives, and patronage buying motives also can be categorized into emotional patronage buying motives and rationales and reasons which induce a buyer to choose a particular product over the other product. Your product is such, the offering is such that it is chosen, it is preferred over the other. And they include the physical attraction of the product, that is the design, shape, dimension, size, color, package, performance of the product or offering, and maybe their price, the competitive prices that they are offering, the psychological attraction of the product, that is the enhancement of the social prestige or status of the purchaser through its possession. Suppose you want to emulate someone and you are seeing that that particular person is buying a particular commodity, just to emulate, you may also go and buy that particular commodity, right? As I said, that product buying motives can be emotional product motives and can be rational product motives. The emotional product motives, the reasons for a particular brand, comfort a particular offering is providing you, the desire for distinctiveness, you want to be distinct in the society, you want to be different in the society, that is why you are buying a particular product, or maybe desire for recreation or pleasure, or maybe habit. So likewise, there are various attributes of product on the basis of it, or the attributes of product itself, they are inducing you, the customer, or motivating the customer to buy. And then rational product motives behavior, I would say, or motive. So reasons for rational product motives are safety or security. You want to ensure safety or security, so you are going for a particular commodity. For insurance, life insurance, for example, life insurance, or maybe a particular lock and key or safes which you are using in your house. And then you want to see the economy when you are using it, so you have to incur costs. So you will buy that particular commodity which is incurring less cost, which gives you economy. And then the prices, suppose the prices of a particular offering is relatively lower than the other, then that gives you motive to buy it. And then suitability, utility or versatility, durability of a particular commodity, right, and convenience. That is why they are called rational product motives. So they have valid reasons, they have rational reasons for you, to buy it, and through their rational reasons they are convincing you, or they are stimulating the customer to buy it. And then comes patronage buying motives, the reasons of buyers buying from a particular shop, maybe that is can be seen as a patronage buying motive. Sometimes the consumers prefer to buy from a particular shop only, and there is rational patronage buying motives. For the emotional patronage buying motives, you would see there can be various reasons, such as the appearance of the shop is such that you like it and you want to go there again and again. Maybe the display style of the shop is something that you actually like and you want to go there because you find it easier to pick things. Recommendation from near and dear ones, the people who are very close to you, they are recommending you, that they are satisfied and they are recommending you, and that is why you also want to go to that particular shop only. Or maybe imitation, again, you want to imitate someone, you want to be like someone, and if he or she is buying from a particular shop, you will prefer to go that shop only. That likewise prestige or maybe habit. And then the other thing is rational patronage buying motives, such as convenience. It is that shop or that location, the lower price, it offers the credit facilities that attracts you to go, or the kinds of services that that particular store or shop is offering, the efficiency of the salesman, even they are so good in establishing a kind of relationship with you that you always want to go to that particular shop or store. Or maybe that store is providing you wide range of choices, or maybe the reputation of shop. So likewise, there are certain rational reasons also which influence a buyer to buy from a particular shop or store. So now in this session we have seen that when we are going to make a purchase decision, there are various things which influences us. There are various stimuli. Those stimuli can be internal stimuli and external stimuli. The buying process begins with the discovery and recognition of then consumer begins search for information. This search gives rise to various decisions, and finally the purchaser evaluates those alternatives and the purchase decision is made. Then the buyer evaluates the purchases and decides whether he is satisfied or he is not satisfied, or whether he is happy or not happy. So majorly we have seen that 4 types of buying decision behavior are portrayed by the customers. The complex buying behavior, that was for expensive and durable goods, which involves lots of researches. Dissonance reducing buying behavior, where the products are very closely, the differentiation is so close that you are finding it difficult to decide. And then the habitual buying behavior, which involve a very little involvement, and variety seeking buying behavior, where the customer wants to change the brand, to switch the brand for different exposure. So as a marketer, you have to customers in a proper manner, and you can have delighted customer in your business. So this is the end of this discussion today. See you next session. Happy learning. Good morning, learners. I welcome you all to this session on product mix, and this is for the students of BCom, MCom and BB Retailing. Up till now, we have discussed in the previous session, we have discussed what is a product, organizations or individuals, what comes under the scope of product. This is all we have discussed. We talked of the features of the product, classification of products, levels and dimensions of products. We also talked of features of services and the challenges that are associated with the services. In this session, we are going to discuss about product mix, product line, product mix and line strategies, and product diversification. So before we discuss product mix, let us understand why this concept is important, or why do we use product mix in marketing, right? So there are various product objectives with the companies, with the different companies, and different companies set their product objectives differently. Right? There are various decisions relating to the product, such as what products we should sell, what are the different categories of products, where we can deal in, whether it should be tangible, it should be intangible, or maybe you are going to decide what offering you are going to offer to the market. The product objective may be, to increase the customer base, or maybe to have the sales growth, or effective utilization of resources, or maybe all of these. You may, as a company, decide to offer a full product line or product mix, etc. So this is where the concept of product mix and product line comes. A firm may be selling a single product or a wide range of products. For instance, if we talk of Godrej, so Godrej, it deals in office furnitures also. So for instance, office tables, chairs, steel almirahs, etc. Office equipments, cosmetics, domestic appliances, and so much so that they are also into real estate. So while referring to the range of products manufactured or sold by a firm, the two concepts which are widely and extensively used by the marketers are product mix and product line. That is why it becomes very important to understand the concept of product mix and product line. And then we can see how they play an important role while deciding product objective, or maybe when we are deciding the product objective, how this product mix and product line comes into the picture. So now let us discuss what is product mix. Product mix is also known as product assortment or product portfolio. That means when we talk of product mix of a company, we are referring to the basket of all the products that a company is offering to the markets, to the various segments of the market. It refers to the complete set of products and services offered by a firm, and it consists of several product lines. A product or variant of a product in a product line is individual product, or maybe termed as product item. So now we can say that product mix is a which is also termed as product item. So all these product lines, when they are grouped together, which the company is offering, they form the part of product mix. An organization's product mix includes all the products that it sells, and it is a subset of the marketing mix and is an important part of the business model of a company. So to define the basket of product that you may or you are offering to a market is product mix. Now let us see product line. As we said in product mix, that product mix is a group of all the product line which a company is offering. So it becomes very important to understand what is a product line. So product line is a group or set of products that are closely related as they perform a similar function targeted at same customer groups and distributed through sales, or maybe a same product having different variants, right? So they form a product line. For example, Samsung has many product lines, but one product line is mobile phones, and Samsung has many models of mobile phones from low price range to premium range. So the whole range that the Samsung is offering in mobile is called as product line, one product line of segment. Likewise, Samsung has many product lines, right? So this type of offering different models of different mobiles for different customers is called as product line. Number of product items in a product lines depend on the product objective. So what the company is setting, what kind of product objectives, that determines how many products are slice. If the objective is to enlarge the customer base, there would be many variants in each product line as it fills the gaps in the offerings to avoid new players into the market. If the company aims at enlarging the customer base, then it would like to satisfy needs of each and every customer. So if by offering certain variations or making certain variations in products, if they can with the similar product, if they can offer certain variations, they'll try to cover all that if they want to enlarge the customer base. So they will try to fill the gap in the products that they have, and then they would offer more than one variant of a product in a particular line. But if the product objective is something else, or the objective of the company is something else, then maybe the product line size would differ. Our product lines have associated items that consumers tend to use together or think of as similar products or services. For example, if we talk of dental care, so maybe dental care is a product line, and toothbrush, paste, tongue cleaner, mouth fresh. A product line is a group of closely related items. As I said, toothbrush, paste, tongue cleaner, mouth freshener, they're all closely related items. And it is a specific version of the product that can be designated as a distinct offering among an organization's products. If we try to understand the concept of product mix and product line by taking an example of Patanjali Ayurveda Limited, we all know that Patanjali has a diverse product offerings. And it has vast range of goods, from pharmaceuticals. They started with pharmaceuticals and now they are into everywhere. The cosmetic products, food items, hair care, skin care and whatnot. So all the kinds of products that the Patanjali is offering becomes the product mix. So as I said, the vast range of goods. So if I am taking pharmaceuticals, cosmetic products and food items, hair care and all, under this product line, they may be offering certain other variants. They may be offering certain different medicines, right? So that becomes a product line. But when we talk of all the product lines or all the products consisting of which is there in different product lines, it will become product mix. So again, in this case, if we say what is product mix, so product line 1, product line 2, product line 3, and likewise whatever number of product line the Patanjali Ayurveda Limited has, if you add it, it becomes a product mix. And if you talk of separate line, if you talk of separate range, that will become product line. Say for instance, in this case, we have taken Ayurvedic, body care. Maybe this is product line 1, food grains, maybe this is product line 2. Ready to eat product line, there are certain products, and those products are known as individual product. Like if we talk of maybe dental product, if we are talking of dental care, so Dant Kanti would be an individual item. Hair care, if you are talking as a product line, so Kesh Kanti of this product line, hair care product line, would be an individual item. So product mix, product line and product item. We'll see it from with different examples also. So now let us discuss what are the various dimensions of product mix. When we talk of product mix, we also talk of width of product mix, which is also termed as breadth of product mix, length of product mix, depth of product mix and consistency of product mix. So what is width of product mix? When we talk of number of product lines the company offers, when we are trying to show that company is offering, say for example, 2 product lines. So the width of the product mix would be in the product mix. Suppose a company has 2 product lines, as we have said earlier, and 10 products in each product line, then the length of the product mix will come to 2 into 10, that becomes 20. Likewise, when we talk of depth, so the depth of the product mix refers to the total number of products within a product line. In one product line, say for example, in the above example we have seen, in one product line we are having 10 items. So the depth of the product line is 10 products deep, right? For example, if you take Colgate has different variants under the same product line. Toothpaste product line they have various variants. For example, they have Colgate Advanced, Colgate Active Salt, Colgate Total, or maybe Ved Shakti, or likewise they have various other variants also. So the number of variants they are offering, so under that toothpaste, different product lines in a product mix. So the different product lines that you are offering as a company, how they are related to each other. If they are related to each other, that means the product mix is consistent. And if they are not related to each other, that means the product mix of that particular company is not consistent, or maybe less consistent. For example, if you take Tata Group, so if you see the product line or product range of Tata Group, they are into from salt to steel to aviation. So the consistency is less. But suppose you are talking of a company which is maybe concentrating on just dairy products, then in this case the consistency is high. Again, whether the company would like to have highly consistent product mix or less consistent product mix depends upon various factors, and one of the important factors, say that there is a company XYZ Limited, and XYZ Limited is offering 3 product lines. So product line 1 may be body care, product line 2 may be cosmetics, and product line 3, say for example, food items, right? So in product line 1, in body care, suppose they are offering soap, they are offering maybe anything you think of, right? So, or various variants of soap, someone has lavender, someone has lemon, or someone has creamy base. So product line 1 is having various variant, and here in this example we have taken that's company X1B, PL1C and PL1D. So one product line, 4 variants, right? Another product line that the company is offering is product line 2. We can call it cosmetics, maybe cream, maybe lipsticks, or maybe anything. So in product line 2, again we are taking an example that they are offering 5 individual products in that product line 2, which is product line 2A. We have referred it as product line 2A, product line 2C, product line 2D, and product line 2E. The third product line that they are having is maybe related to food items, which has 6 variants now. Product line 3A, product line 3B, product line 3C, and product line 3D, and product line 3E, product line 3F. So now, when we talk of product width, that means number of product lines that XYZ company, which is an assumption, is offering. So in this case, the width of product mix is 3 lines wide, right? When we talk of the length of the product, that means we have to talk of all the products that is offering. That means 4 products in product line 1, 5 products in product line 2, and 6 products in product line 3. When you put together, or when you are showing this, that will be called as the length of the product mix. And when we talk of the depth of the product width, then we will see that in product line 1, since we are offering 4 variants, so the depth of product line 1 is 4. In product line 2, since we are offering 5 variants, so the depth of product line 2 is 5. And likewise, the depth of product line 3 is 6, because we are offering 6 variants of the products in product line 3. So I hope you would have understand what is product line, what is product mix. Product mix is the width, the depth, the length, right, and the consistency. Again, if I am the example that I am taking, if you talk of the first 2 things, the product line 1 and product line 2, body care and cosmetics, they are somewhere related. So here there is some element of consistency, and food items are a little different. So the element of consistency is high, right? But if we assume that these 3 product lines are entirely different things, for example, one is cosmetics, one is pharmaceutical, and the other is food items, then that means the consistency of the product mix is less, because all the product lines, the 3 product lines that the company is having, they are not related to each other. Get it? Now, let us see what are the different product line strategies that the companies adopt when they are doing this. It occurs when a company lengthens its product line beyond its current range. Whatever range the company is having, when it's trying to lengthen it, that becomes product line stretching. Now, product line stretchings may have down market stretch, up market stretch, or two-way stretch. When I say down market stretch, that means it is also called as trading down. You already have a range of products. Say for example, in the body care, you already have a range of soaps. You have your lavender soap, you have lemon soap, you have creamy base soap, and so on and so forth. So you already served to those customers also who have comparatively lesser purchasing power, low priced, right? So when you are adding a commodity which is low priced, that will be termed as down market stretch or trading down. Likewise, if you are adding something, adding a variant in your product line which is, high in price, you are already offering variants in a product line, and now you want to offer something which is of high price or premium range, then it becomes up market stretch, which is also called as trading up. For example, Volkswagen, it has ultra premium brands like Bentley, Lamborghini. So when they are adding these two, it becomes trading up. And when we talk of two-way stretch, that means you are also trying to cater to the customer. You already have a product line, now you want to cater to the both, the lesser income group and the higher income group. In this case, what would you do as a company? That you would introduce products in your product line, which is some products which are low priced and some products which are highly priced. Again, if you take the example of Volkswagen, the Polo and several other brands for the masses, and other brands like Beetle, Audi, Lamborghini, and they are for the classes. Even if you take example of HUL, Hindustan Unilever Limited, in soap they have premium brands like Dove, and other brands also are there. The next, strategy, product line strategy is line filling. So what is line filling? As we have discussed earlier, line filling is defined as adding more items within the present range to strengthen the product line. So whatever product line, whatever variants of products that you have in a product line, if you want to fill the gap, if you want to say, for example, they have started with Ved Shakti. Why? Because in the market, in the competition, this Ayurvedic toothpaste, they were gaining importance in India. Like Dabur Lal Dant Manjan or maybe Patanjali ka this Dant Kanti, they were gaining importance. They were having customers. The traffic were going to those particular stores for buying these particular commodities. So thinking of this, Colgate wanted to tap those customers also who wants to go for Ayurvedic kind of maybe toothpaste. Thinking of this, or maybe keeping this in mind, they introduced Ved Shakti. Right? So this is called as line filling. You don't want any of the customer to go anywhere else. You want all the customer of a particular need, to come to your particular kind of company. So what do? You try to fill the gap, the small gaps which is there in the line, you try to fill it with introducing line modernization. Is that the company like to upgrade their product offerings with new technologies to make the customers upgrade to high valued, high priced items. So when the technology is advancing, you also need to introduce those technology to your already existing product items which is there. So that is called as line modernization, which can be quite often seen is newer model of cars or maybe iPhones, and nowadays you can see electrical appliances also like television or refrigerators also, they are having line modernization. Then comes a very tricky and important strategy which is called as line featuring. Line featuring is what? When you have a product line, and in product line similar kinds of products are there, right? So when you are you have one product which is effective of line filling, you try to introduce some other products which is maybe a little higher in price. So how to get customers for that highly priced commodity that you have recently introduced in the market? So for that you do line featuring. In line featuring, what happened? To attract the customers into showrooms, you try to pitch in with maybe a lower priced commodity, and when the customer is there, with the help of the promotional campaigns, with the help of the advertisements through various media, you have hugely promoted that the company is there with say for example product A and product B. Or when you are promoting product A more than product B. You are not promoting product B more. It is a highly priced commodity. Product A where is a less priced commodity. But while doing promotional campaign, you are making much promotions. You are making all the expenditure on promoting product A. So when the customer is coming, the moment they come into, you try to show them, yes, we have product A and this is there for you. But would you like to see a product B also, which is a little better than this, although price is a little higher, but it is better than product A. So the customer came in looking for product A, but then you are trying to expose the customers to the product B. So that is line featuring. In line featuring, the important trick is having smart and skilled salesperson, because moment the customers are entering into your store, the salespersons who are there to interact with them should be smart enough to understand and to gauge what customer is actually expecting. As I said, when we say customer expectations, we have seen it discussed in different sessions. When we talk of customer expectations, there are two sorts of expectations. One is stated and the other is unstated. So stated expectations we have already known because they have come for a particular product. But there must be certain unstated expectation. So unstated expectations is to be judged by the salesperson who is there, and then he or she has to pitch in with the customer whether or not to show the product B, and if at all they are showing it, in what manner. It is not always true that you advertise low priced commodity more and then you are introducing the customers to the high price. It can go the other way around also. Suppose as a company, as a brand, you are known for high priced commodities. Now in that case, the moment the customers are, you make certain advertisements, you make certain promotional campaigns, and then the moment customers are entering, you are showing them the product which is highly priced, say for example product B, but also you are also exposing the customers to the product A which is low priced. So that is why what you are doing, you are trying to feature the product which you want to focus. Although the customer has come for the other product, but you want to feature some other product, so you are featuring that particular product. So that is line featuring. Now let us see product mix strategies. So in product mix strategies, we have expansion of product mix, contraction of product mix, deepening product mix depth, alteration or changes in the existing products, affecting change in model style of an existing product, maybe product differentiation and new product development. Let us discuss all these one by one. So if we talk of contraction and expansion of product mix, so contraction of product line or product mix means contracting. That means you are suspending. You are suspending either a product in a product line, or maybe you are suspending the whole product line. That becomes contraction of product line or product mix, right? When we suspend a particular item, that it will be product mix, right? This is also termed as product simplification. This strategy is adopted mainly to eliminate low profit products and to get more profits from fewer products. Suppose there is a particular line of product which is not fetching you more profits, then in that particular case, the company may decide to suspend that particular product line and employ all its resources which the company was employing to that particular line to employ it on other products which are highly profitable or which are more profitable, just to maximize their profits, right? And if sometimes the company wants to optimize also, make the optimum utilization of the resources also, in that case also the company may go for contraction of product line or product mix. Again, if a product is dropped, contraction of product line, but if the line is dropped, it is contraction of product mix. Now the second thing is expansion of product line or product mix, which is just means adding, right? So if you are expanding, if you are adding another product in your product line, that becomes expansion of product line. But if you are adding a whole new product line to your product mix, then it becomes expansion of product mix. For example, suppose a company is dealing in drugs and chemicals and now it wants to add, or it wants to go to a completely new area. Say for example, it wants to deal with computers now. So this will be expansion of product mix. Now again, and the expansion can be related, can be unrelated. If the product lines are already related to the other product line which is already existing, that will be related expansion of the product mix. But if the products are unrelated, that in the case that we have example that we have seen here, then it becomes depth. When a company does not add new product lines but expands one or more existing product lines, it becomes deepening of product mix depth. What we are trying to do? We are trying to expand the product lines which is already there. That means, as we have discussed, when we discussed the dimensions of product mix, depth is what? Number of products in a product line. So for example, in one product line, there were 4 variants or 4 products. So the depth of product line was 4. Now if the company wants to add 2 more products in the same product line, this is called as deepening of product mix depth. We are increasing the depth of the product line, right? So in this case, what is happening? Maybe some product lines become fat from thin. Earlier they had 4, now they have 6 products in the product line. So they have expanded product mix. Alteration or changes in existing products. Sometimes you may have to make alterations in the existing products. You may have to make changes in the quality of the product which is already available in your product line. So when you are trying to make certain changes in the product, you are trying to bring that product as a new product in the market. So what you are trying to say that in the product line, as a company, I have introduced a new product. So what you are doing, just by altering or just by making changes in the existing products, you are trying to give it a new shape. Likewise, affecting change in the model or style of an existing product. The product is already existing, but seeing the competition, seeing the change in the preference of consumers, the taste of the consumers, you want to now change the style of the differentiation. What we are doing, product differentiation means we are offering the same, or maybe a product line is such that there are various other competitors are there in the market and they are also offering the same product line. So to create a niche in the market, to position yourself more in the market, what you are trying to do as a company is you want to differentiate your product from the competitors which are already there in the market, which is called as product differentiation. So it is not entirely a new product, but just by making some differences, maybe in their quality, a little change in the quality, a little change in the design, maybe the packaging, you are trying to create some kind of differentiation. So that is called product differentiation. And then comes new product development. You are introducing a new product at all. So in this case, you are not going to here. Now, next is product diversification. Product diversification means adding a new product to the existing product mix. Again, you were dealing with maybe, for example, body care, then cosmetics, and then maybe food items, or now altogether you want to diversify. Altogether you want to venture into a different field. Then it becomes product diversification. Say for example, when Tata Group they try to venture into aviation, that is product diversification. They have diversified, right? So, and diversification is applicable not only to production but to selling or distribution as well. For example, a seller dealing in watches may diversify by selling toys. It is not producing, it is not manufacturing, it is just selling. It is buying from somewhere and selling. So earlier maybe the company decided, this seller decided to deal with. Now diversification can be related diversification, can be unrelated diversification. When we talk of related diversification, that means the new products that we have introduced in our product mix is related or maybe some way similar to the already existing products. So that becomes related diversification. This is most common form of diversification. It is inexpensive and easier. That is why it is commonly used also. For example, Hindustan Unilever Limited, they are offering variety of toilet soaps such as Lifebuoy, Lux, Pears, etc. And on the other hand, they are also dealing with the soaps or cleaning materials such as Vim, Surf or Rin. So they have diversified from toilet soaps to other soaps, to utensil cleaning soaps. But this is related diversification. Why do company diversify? The company is already having selling and distribution facilities. Company wants to make most of it. That is why the company wants to diversify. With the same channels, company can introduce some other products as well. Again, if the company wants to use its underutilized production capacity, then also company may go for diversification. Or if the company wants to meet the varied customer needs, company wants to fill the gap, then it wants to go for diversification. And to take the advantage of the existing reputation in a particular type of product, then also they may want to enter. And of course, to increase the sale of existing product, they may try to diversify or they may go for related diversification. So what is unrelated diversification? As we have said, when the diversification that the company is made is entirely different or maybe quite different from the existing ones, then it becomes unrelated diversification. Say for example, if a manufacturer of consumer products diversifies into manufacture of this kind of diversification, it involves heavier cost and managerial challenges. So quite often, this is not something which is often used by the companies. So that is why it is less popular than the related diversification. Related diversification is more popular only because it is, it involves less cost, right? Generally, this unrelated diversification, it is done through various styles, maybe through mergers, acquisitions. That is why it is also called as conglomerate strategy. So, advantages of product diversification, if we summarize it quickly, we would say that when the company wants to increase, to attract the new dealers, so if you are diversifying, the new dealers would be attracted. So, the advantage of product diversification is attracting new dealers also. Or it is more advantageous for the small scale, industries or companies, because the moment they are established and now they want to grow, then they may go for product diversification. So what are the different factors that influence, that as of now we have discussed product line, product mix, and the dimensions of product mix, product diversification. Now let us quickly see what are the factors that actually influence the product mix decision. So the first factor may be change in the market demand. If the company, the fashion, the trend which is prevailing in the market, so if there is this kind of change, company may want to change its product. So that is why this may also be a reason why company wants to make changes in product mix. Or maybe cost of production. If the company wants to lower its cost of production, then also it has to go for product mix. Because when you want to cost of production, how can you decrease your cost of production? If you produce more quantities, if you increase the volume of production, your cost of production comes down, right? Likewise, if the company wants to avail the large scale economy also, then also it may go for product mix strategies or product mix decision. If the company is seeing that the same advertising and distribution channels can fetch more business to the company, then in this case also they may go for product mix dimensions, right? Maybe use of residuals. Some see that there is going to be a demand for that particular byproduct, and that byproduct can be converted into main product. Then in that case also product mix decision would be a good choice. Likewise, company may have a desire to make changes for the sake of making changes. Maybe if there is the competitors who are there in the market, if they are making alterations in their product mix, the company is also bound to make change in their product mix, and then maybe change in the purchasing power or behavior of the customers. If there is change in the purchasing power or behavior of the customers, thinking that also the company may decide to change its product mix. And full utilization of marketing capacity and financial resources. Suppose company has now grown from a small scale, it is now mix decision. With this, I end this topic of discussion today. See you next session. Happy learning. Good morning, learners. I welcome you all in today's session, and the topic for today's discussion is new product development. This is for the students of BCom, MCom and BBA retailing. And as usual, whenever we talk on a certain topic, we try to see the previous session discussions also about product objectives, product mix, product line, dimensions of product mix, which is product width, depth, length and consistency. What is product mix width, what is product mix depth, length and consistency. Then we also discussed about product line strategies such as line filling, line stretching, line featuring, etc. And we talked of strategies of product mix also, such as expansion, contraction, positioning, differentiation and new product. And we also talk about product diversification and the factors that influence the product mix. So as we have seen that when we are talking of product mix strategies, one of the strategy may be new product development, right? So considering this, today's topic of discussion is new product development, which is popularly termed as NPD. So in this session, some kind of invention or maybe some modifications or improvements in the existing product. We'll also discuss about the reasons for launch of new product, why innovation is important when we are talking of new product. We'll discuss about the steps in new product development process. We'll also talk about various techniques for generating new product ideas and the factors that influence the new product development process. And then we'll talk of why the new product fails at times in the market. So reasons for failure of new product. So first of all, let us see what is a new product, right? So a new product, as I said, it may be entirely new product. It may be modification or improvement in the existing product, right? So new product may be improvement in existing product. It may be entirely new to the world, which is, kind of inventions. And as we all know that it is rare. It is relatively rare in comparison to other to the existing line. Whatever product line is existing with the company, when we are trying to make certain additions, that can also be termed as new product, such as when we do line filling. You are offering certain commodities and you are seeing a gap in particular line, in a product line, and you want to fill that gap so that you can cater to the other customer who is otherwise not coming to you. So maybe the line filling, to fill that line, if you're adding another product to your existing product line, that can also be termed as, new product. As we have discussed in the previous session, that we can do line stretching also. And in line stretching, what do? We do upmarket stretch, adding highly priced commodities to the existing product range, down market search, highly priced and some are low priced, right? So even additions to the existing line also is considered to be a new product. Or sometimes a company introduce a whole new product line, which is new to the firm. It may not be new to the world. It is not an invention, but yes, for the firm, it is new, right? So when a company introduces a new product line, which is also termed as product mix expansion, that product line can also be termed as new products. Likewise, as a strategy, company also reposition its products. Why do it reposition? We'll see it later in the subsequent sessions. But for the time being, we have to understand that even when we are repositioning or when we are making certain modifications in an existing product and we are repositioning in a market segment or maybe a new market segment, right? Then also it is termed as a new product. This is whatever it is there. Sometimes company does huge cost reduction. So they try to bring in innovation in cost, right? By reducing cost, they are trying to have a new market segment. So even in that case, that product can be considered as new product. So this is very important. Like in order to understand new product development or what is a new product and how do we go about it, it is very important to understand what is innovation and what importance does it have in marketing. So innovation, as we all know, that it is a source of competitive long-term advantage. Market is dynamic in nature. It keeps on changing. The taste, preference, behavior of the consumers, customers, they change rapidly. To keep pace with that change, something new, some newness in your existing commodity or services or in your existing offering, which can be termed as innovation. So bringing something new or bringing some newness in the existing thing. Maybe newness in the product, maybe newness in the process of the development of product, maybe newness in terms of cost. So it can be in any form, it can be in any shape. But innovation is very, very important if we want to keep pace with the changing environment of market. As it is, you can see here that it applies to the marketing process as a whole. It is not restricted to particular commodity. It is not restricted to the offerings of the company, but it is inbuilt in the marketing process. You may try to bring some kind of newness in the promotional campaign. You may try to bring some kind of innovation in the distribution channel, in your company or in the marketing process. Innovation can be incremental innovation, disruptive innovation, architectural innovation, and radical innovation. We'll discuss sometime later. Now, we need to understand that for this kind of innovation, what is important to understand is that we have to identify the gaps which is available. So what are those kinds of gaps? So those gaps may be usage gap, distribution gap, product gap, and competitive gap. And along with all these things which we are going to discuss, there's one term which is very important. This is also called as blue ocean strategy. That means creating a new space rather than competing in the existing space. So that we'll discuss maybe sometime later. But let us now quickly see what are the various kinds of innovation, that is incremental, disruptive, what is architecture, and what is into the marketing process. So the first that we are going to discuss is incremental innovation. So what is incremental innovation? It is such innovation which every company does it at regular intervals sometimes and in some form or the other. So this is a very popular thing. It is so popular and it is so common in practice that sometimes some experts, they don't even consider it as innovation. And this is called as incremental innovation. Incremental innovation is nothing but a minor improvement to the existing products or services or the process or the methods. So it means when the company is trying to bring in a series of small investments just to keep the pace with the changing patterns or changing behavior, changing preferences of the customers. So this kind of innovation is called as incremental competitive differentiation. This innovation, it can be simple as adding some new features to the existing products. Say for example, the Colgate toothpaste. There are various kinds of Colgate toothpaste which is offered in the market, and the new addition to it was Ved Shakti. So simply by adding a some new features to the existing product, Colgate toothpaste is already existing, but just by adding certain new features, that means adding some Ayurvedic things to that toothpaste, you are trying to offer something to the market to fill the gap or to grab those customers who were going somewhere else in the name of Ayurvedic things. So this is also incremental innovation, and it is very simple. But incremental innovation can also be a little complex. Say for example, if you try to develop a new line, you have to work a little more on designing or thinking of the features that can be added in that particular new product. Since it is minor improvement, it does not have much impact on market dynamics. It is quite predictable and it is very safe in terms of risk, because whenever you're trying to offer some new product to the market, there is always a risk whether the market would be receptive for that particular product or not, or service or not. So it is risky business. Offering new product to the market is a risky business. But if you talk of incremental innovation or new product which is a form of incremental innovation, it is relatively safe. And as I've discussed earlier, incremental innovation is done by every organization in some way or the other. Then we'll talk of disruptive innovation. As the name suggests, disruptive. That means blowing away, whatever is existing. You are introduced by Clayton Christensen in around 1995, and it refers to a concept, product or service that creates a new value network, either by disrupting an existing market, right, or maybe by disrupting a commodity which is an offering which is already there in the market. You are wiping it off and you are bringing in a new commodity. For instance, if you talk of maybe 2 decade back, HMT watches. It is a kind of history now. Thanks to the influence of social media, that you can still get HMT watches online. But the kind of popularity that HMT had in the past, you cannot see it right now. Various other competitors, Titan is now more popular than HMT. Likewise, if you talked of mobile phone, maybe again 10 years back, not very late, 10 years back, Nokia was the leading company in terms of mobile phone. Now, what is the status of Nokia? It is a kind of history, right? And Samsung took over that, right? So this is disruptive innovation. You are trying to bring in something new and you are bringing it in a way that the already existing products, they are gone, they are blown away. And it eventually disrupts an existing market and a value network, and it creates a new market and value network, right? It displaces established market leading firms, products and alliances, as we have seen. Like HMT was displaced, and it changes the customer's perception entirely. For instance, Agya, which was once a brand, which was once a synonym to this vegetable oil, is not the case today. There are several other competitors, there are several other brands who have pitched in, who have grabbed the market share from Dalda. So disruptive innovation means design its products or service to match the demand of the emerging market. So whatever changes are there in the market, you are analyzing it, and then you are trying to design a product or service which is matching that demand, right? And you can also reshape an existing product. So maybe you are reshaping your own product, not forget about competitors. You are reshaping your own product, and then if you take an example of Kodak, right? Which is less than 20 years, went from the 4th most valuable brand worldwide to bankruptcy. Why? Because digital photography came into the picture, and it ate all the business of Kodak. So market had been disrupted and Kodak failed to adjust. So as a marketing expert, as a marketer, you always need to think something new. You always should try to bring in some kind of innovation in your products and services. Now I'll talk of architecture innovation. Architectural innovation is described as the reconfiguration of existing product technologies and was introduced by Rebecca Henderson and Kim Clark in 1990. As the term suggests, architectural innovation, that means change in the architecture of the commodity. So whatever commodity is having, so what you're going to do, your remains same, but the relationship between those components changes. Or maybe for instance, if we are talking of, say for example, a washing machine, right? So the technology which is used to manufacture a washing machine may be same. The core components are same, but by adding certain new technologies, by adding certain new features, you are trying to give a new kind of product to the market. This type of innovation entails the overall design, system, or the way components of the commodity interact with each other. The best example for this kind of innovation would be the desktop photocopiers, right? It is, the stand-alone photocopiers, they are, not used now, and desktop photocopiers, they have taken place. So we have got printers now, which can also take printouts, which can also photocopy for you, and so much so that we also have 3D printing technology now, right? So that would be termed as, it is trying to give a new kind of product. Although the core components are same, but just by changing the relationship between those components and the way the components are interacting with each other, you're trying to provide a new product to the market. And this innovation is amazing at increasing new customers as long as the market is receptive. Believe me, this is the very important thing to understand, that whatever you are offering to the market, it has to be receptive. If it is not receptive, the market is not receptive, you are going to fail as a product. Then comes radical innovation. Radical innovation is nothing but kind of invention, which is, as I said, relatively rare. So it involves harnessing new technology and a new business model simultaneously, and as such is very rare. So much so that only about 10% of innovations fall into this invention that destroys or replaces an existing business model and replace it with a new model, right? If you try to see an example of radical innovation, you can see iPhone. Before the entry of iPhone, the phones which were using, they were kind of, they had keypads. You had to press the key, you had to press the buttons in order to function the phone, in order to do some kind of function on your phone. But the moment iPhone came into picture, just by sliding your screen, you could do all the functions. And this entry of iPhone, it paved the way for the modern, smartphone market. Now you see all the phones, majority of the phones are smartphones, which is used by the consumer. This radical innovation, it allows organizations to achieve competitive advantage in the market and challenge the dominant position of leader companies, right? Example if you want to take, likewise, if you talk of entertainment industry, Netflix and Hotstar, they can also be termed as radical innovation, because now through Netflix and through Hotstar, what you are getting kind of multiplex at your homes, right? So this is all radical innovation. As I said, to bring in, if you really want to bring in some kind of innovation in your existing products or services, you have to do gap analysis. You have to understand what is there which is not existing, what is there which is already not there, and the need for that gap is felt by the customers. The gap is not enough. The need should be felt by the customers, and customers should be ready to fill that gap. They should be receptive. So this gap analysis we have to do if we want to bring in new innovation to the company, to the marketing. Product gap and competitive gap. So what is usage gap? When you use a particular commodity or service maybe, then while using, you as a customer, you may figure out something missing, or maybe even while offering the commodity to the market, and after a particular period of time, the marketer themselves, they try to see the usage gap which is there in the commodity. So by identifying that usage gap, and then you are trying to fulfill that gap with introducing something new to the existing commodity, and then comes distributive gap. Sometimes gaps in the channel of distribution. Say for instance, when for all the commodities, for the majority of the commodities, when companies, they were opting for indirect channel, that means through different distributive channels, distributive gap. Likewise, unless Dell came into market, all the computers, they were sold through some channels, but Dell was the first to start selling their its computers online directly to the customers. So it could identify the distributive gap. So even by analyzing that gap also, you may try to bring in some kind of innovation. And then product gap, the quality of product, the process of product, the look and appearance of product. When you are trying to see that, you may find certain gap. And after analyzing this kind of gap only, the market is there from tooth powder to toothpaste. If you see, earlier the tooth powders were there in the market, but now toothpaste, they have replaced it. Likewise, if you talk of paints, so from dried paint, new quality or new features that can be added to the product also, you can get an idea to bring in some kind of innovation to your marketing process. And of course, the most important and not to be forgotten is competitive gap. Gaps in competitive products. Whatever products are offered by the competitors and are in the market, if you can try to analyze the gaps in those particular offerings, maybe that can give you an edge, or that can give you a scope to add something new to the customers and grab that particular share of market. So that ways we see that by analyzing these kinds of gap, we can try to bring in some kind of innovation to the marketing process and create a new product or develop a new product which can be offered to the market, right? So, but as we have seen, as I said, that new product development is a whole lot of work. It is not a very simple thing, and it is very risky business also. So it has to follow a systematic step-by process before coming into the picture or before coming into being. So what is the various steps? What are the various processes that are used while developing a new product? Let us discuss those processes. So the first step is idea generation. Second may be idea screening. Then concept development and testing is done of the new products. Then business analysis is done, whether that is profitable or viable or not. And then product development and testing, test marketing, and then the product is launched, or this step is also called as commercialization. Now let us discuss all these steps one by one. So what is idea generation? Idea generation, again, it is not restricted to a marketing, but it is across the board. And the new product approach starts with generation, to which that gap can be filled. So you try to have as much ideas as you can have as an expert. And the idea is related to what? It is related to matching a perceived need with the recognition of a technical opportunity. The need may be old, it may be new, it may be apparent or latent. That means it may be stated or unstated, any kind of need, right? Now we can see that there are various sources to get these kinds of idea. The first source may be the customer themselves. So by interacting to the customer, maybe the sales force that you have, the sales persons that you have in the company, when they interact with the customer, with the interaction, they get some ideas that what customer actually is lacking, or what customer is needing, what customer wants. By analyzing, sometimes watching the competitors also, you can get an idea what all you can bring in to your company. And there are other company sources also, such as I said, salesperson by the companies, just to get the flow of idea. So, and other than these also, there may be several other sources through which the idea can be generated. And once the idea is generated, then there will be certain ideas. Now the step 2 involves screening of the idea. That means you have to critically evaluate the ideas that have been generated. And of those ideas, now you have to select the most promising idea that can fit for further probing. So when you want to screen your ideas, the generated ideas, then you need to analyze certain factors such as what is the market potential of that particular idea, whether it is profitable or not, whether it is workable or not, feasible or not, what is the likely sales volume, what production facilities are required, what kind of raw materials are required and whether they are required, the sales force and distribution channels and financial resources, etc. So likewise, there are certain factors which you need to understand, which you need to analyze while screening the idea. And once you screen it, and then you can come up with a particular idea that the company can commit to the proposed project. Next stage is concept development and testing. So once the idea is generated, it is screened. Now the time is transformation of idea should be, transformed to a product concept. So this stage generally develops a fairly complete picture of the proposed company offering. It defines the specifications of target customers, the specific need proposed to be clear product, and the cost of such need satisfaction to the customer. And then the concept is exposed to the target customers so that the reactions can be seen for further evaluation. Then comes business analysis. And when I say business analysis, again, that means you need to work out its workability, its feasibility, and its profitability. So for that purpose, you have to prepare a DPR, which is detailed project report. You try to figure out everything, the likely sales volume, the demand forecast and everything. And then once you prepare it, then you have to appraise it, whether it is financially viable or not, technically feasible or not. And once the appraisal is giving you green signal, then you come to the next step, which is product development and testing. Now you translate the idea into a product. And in this stage, a prototype is developed, and this prototype is approximately close to the consumer product specifications. Whatever specifications that you have chalked out or welcomed by the customers, you cannot say that it is close or it is the same. And this product development testing, it helps in understanding if the company can master the needed technology. You have developed a prototype, now you are trying to see it through various angles. Now we do test marketing. So your prototype is ready, but as I said, it is very important to understand whether market is receptive or not. So you just imagine a situation when you are producing something, when you're producing a commodity in a bulk, and when you offer it to the market, it is not accepted. So everything is waste, you are in loss. So before actually going for the real offering, as a marketer, it is always wise to do test marketing. That means you have to reassure of the positive market response, that yes, market is going to respond to my product positively. So that is why it is defined as a research technique in which the consumer and trade is observed, recorded and analyzed. And this, with the help of test marketing, the marketer reassures himself about the sales volume also, that yes, we are going to have this kind of sales volume. And now the final stage is product launch or commercialization. So based on the response of test marketing, we as a marketer, the company, they try to make certain modifications if required, make some improvements if required, and then the strategies are made about the pricing, distribution and promotion. Now, when all these strategies are formulated, now the product is ready for introduction in the larger market. As a part of marketing strategy, the company may decide to introduce the product in the entire market at the same time, or maybe introduced in a phased manner in different areas. So in a particular segment so why do we launch new product? As I said, the company, the marketing environment, the marketing itself is very dynamic, it keeps on changing. The supra system, the external environment where you are working as a company is changing very rapidly. So to keep up pace with that changing environment, we have to adapt. And adaptation means we have to make certain changes. That means we have to bring some kind of newness in the offerings that we are offering to the market. So as we can quickly see that the new product is launched, a new product is offered to the market, maybe to meet or block the competition, to fragment the market, to help in repositioning, to meet the need of existing customers, the changing needs of the existing customers, to meet the future need of the market, to increase the profitability, high growth markets, to help implement the strategy of the organization, to take advantage, offer new value to the customer and to cope up with the changing needs of the customer. So in a nutshell, we can say that again, in order to sustain in the market and in order to grow in the market, you have to introduce at regular intervals new product to the market and bring in innovation to your marketing process. Now, what are the factors that influence new product development process? Those factors may be internal factors, those factors may be external forces, right? External forces, when the external environment is forcing you, the competitors, the change in the consumer's needs, behavior, preferences, they are changing, so you have to change. And maybe sometimes, internal factors also motivate you. They are quite sure that they can have, more growth or maybe more profits by working in a new direction. So these kind of internal factors also affect the new product development process. Sometimes it is the culture and the structure of the company that motivates it to, go for new product development. For instance, 3M is a company, and Apple too, I would say. They are the kind of company that they have the culture that after a certain time, like in case of 3M, it is said that they believe in, introducing new product every 3 years. So this is the culture of the company. So this also influence the new product development process. Sometimes the culture of company may not be such, but the leadership of the company is such. The leaders are such that they want to introduce something new to the market, and then availability of effective team. So these are the factors that influence new product development process. Now, the important thing is why, as I said, most of the times the new products, that is important to understand the reasons for failure so that you can take care of all those reasons and you can assure that your new product is not going to fail in the market, right? So the problems may be related to the 4 Ps, that is product problems, distribution and channel problems, promotion problems, pricing problems, or maybe it is timing problem or competitive problem. Say for instance, when you say, product problems, let us take product problems. That means maybe there is some, problems in the product itself, the offering itself, that it is not welcomed by the customers. Like for instance, I'm going to quote Tata Nano. Although Tata, I have much respect for, that business group. They are the pioneers of social responsibility, social corporate responsibility in India, and undoubtedly one of the best companies in India, I would say. But their product, however good, I am trying to tell you, you may be a big giant, you may be a wonderful company, but maybe there are certain if there are certain problems in your product may fail. Like in case of Tata Nano, what happened with the problem in the product? It failed. Tata tried to give something to the market which is less in cost, so that even the persons who were using motorbikes or maybe mopeds, they can afford it. So for the sake of doing that, they introduced Tata Nano. But when it was introduced in the market, when it was offered to the market, people perceived that maybe it is compromising in terms of safety. So it could not get the expected response from the customers. Then maybe the distribution and channel problems. Maybe the problem is not with the product. Maybe your product is very good, but there are certain, maybe the distribution channels which you are using, they are not promoting it, properly, or they are not giving it in time. So once Parle-G, they introduced hamburger to the market, and in the distribution it took time, so it became soggy. So customers did not like it. So maybe this kind of problems also, maybe the reasons why your product may fail. And then promotional problems. The promotional campaigns that you have used, or maybe the media that you have used, is not proper, is not fit to promote that particular product or service that you want to offer to the market. And then pricing problems. Maybe the price of the commodity is either too high, which customers in general cannot afford, or maybe they are perceived to be high in comparison to the benefits that they are giving to the customers. And then timing problems. You may introduce your product maybe too soon or too late. If it is too soon, the customers could not even understand the benefits of that particular product, and you have introduced it to the market, they may fail. Again, if it is too late, you tried, you analyzed, and then in the process of developing the new product, you took so much of time, and by the time you offered that commodity to the market, it was too late, and the space was grabbed by the competitors. So maybe this can be also a reason why your product can fail. And then competitive problems. Maybe the competitors, they may give you such tough competition that it may be difficult for you to survive as a new product in the market. So let us quickly sum up what we have discussed today. To understand new product development, it is important to understand innovation, because without innovation you cannot bringing some newness. You cannot bringing new product in the market. New product has various categories, and there is a need to understand, analyze gap in the market. Aiming at new product development following a sequence of steps is important. You have test marketing and then launch of product. And then there are certain factors also, which may cause the failure of your new product development. So you need to understand, analyze those factors so that you can be sure that your new product is not going to be failed. So with this, I'm ending this discussion. Happy learning. And it can be helpful for the students of BCom, MCom and BBA retailing. In the previous sessions, we have discussed about new product development, and we discussed what is a new product, what comes under the scope of new product, whether it is entirely new to the world or entirely maybe new to the company only, maybe a major or small modifications in the product, and then you are trying to show it is a new product. So what means new product? We also discussed about the reasons for launch of new product, and we discussed about the innovation in marketing, why or how innovation is important if you want to go for new product development. We also talked of the kinds of innovations that is there, and then we discussed about the steps in new product development process, various techniques for generating new product ideas, and factors influencing new product development process, and also the reasons for. So when a product is new, that means you're going to launch a product. So now the important question that comes into the mind is, what is going to be the fate of that product? For how long that product is going to survive in the market? Is it going to succeed, or is it going to fail? That becomes very, very important. So keeping that in mind, today's topic is product life cycle. So in this session, we'll try and figure out what is product life cycle. What is the relevance of product life cycle analysis? Why do companies do it? We'll also talk of the various stages of product life cycle, which are the 4 stages of product life cycle. What are the assumptions and various marketing strategies that are used in the different stages of product life cycle? So if we talk of the concept of product life cycle, it is basically, it has been taken from the product life cycle theory, trade. In this theory, it was suggested that in a product's life cycle, all the inputs required for the manufacturing of that product, it comes from the country of origin where the idea of developing a new product has been originated, or where it was invented. But once it is manufactured, once it is launched in the market, and if the product is accepted and welcomed in the market, then it reaches the world market. That means it crosses the boundaries of the point of origin and it reaches the world market. And production gradually moves away from the point of origin, because suppose, say for example, there are various multinationals, whose manufacturing units, they have their manufacturing units in various parts of the globe, in various countries. So sometimes the product is imported by its original country of invention. It is so much accepted in the global markets, and it is the manufacturing of those kinds of products is, it is spread so wide across that even the country of invention, country of origin is importing the product. So the product life cycle analysis, which is used by the marketer, the very, very concept of product life cycle, it has come from the theory, this economic theory, product life cycle theory. So why does a marketer do product life cycle analysis? Because it helps to study the degree of product acceptance by the market over time, which includes major rise or fall in sales. As I said, you have developed a new product as a strategy, right? As a product mix strategy, you have developed a new product. Now, you want to ensure, and we have also discussed in the previous sessions that many new products, they fail instantly, right? So as a marketer, you would not like to have that. You will never be willing to look for that kind of a failure, to understand, how the market is going to accept and how the market is going to welcome the product so that it has the longevity, right? It describes a period over which an item is developed, brought to market, and eventually removed from the market. See, whenever the project is launched, even if it is a successful one, even if it is liked or welcomed by the market, by the audience, by the customers a lot, still it cannot go on forever and ever, right? Because market is always changing. Market is very dynamic in nature, and it changes. Taste and preferences of the consumers are changing. The external environment is changing. So accordingly, the product also, it cannot be in the same pattern, in the same form, with the same architecture forever. So it is not perpetual. Companies to meet with market demand or developing technologies. Technologies are also advancing, every passing day. So to keep pace with that developing technology also, sometimes modifications in the products, etc., they are required to be made. So product life cycle analysis helps in that as well. Now, what is product life cycle? So as we have discussed, that it is based on the fact that newer, more successful products push older ones out of the market. Every time some new kind of product is there in the market, and in all likelihood, the new kind of market which is launched, if it is accepted by the market, if it can bring customers delight, it will push out, it will phase out the older products which were earlier successful, right? Product life cycle is the length of time a product is introduced to consumers into the market until it is removed from the shelves. So it means product life cycle analysis or product life cycle concept is used as a factor in deciding when it is appropriate to increase advertising, reducing prices, expand to new markets, or redesigning packaging. That means the product mix decisions that the marketer is going to make. In that product mix decision, this PLC or various stages of PLC which we'll discuss plays a very important role. So we can say that this life cycle of the entire product, you have launched the product, it is there in the market, it is welcomed in the market. So initially it may take some time for the customers to accept it and to know about the product. And once they accept it, once the customers know about the product, they may welcome it. And when they welcome it, right, that means your sales are going to increase, and it's see the good phase of that market. And it is there for some period of time, then it reaches to maturity, and it comes to an end also eventually. So keeping that in mind, we can say that life cycle of a product is broken into 4 stages: introduction stage, growth stage, maturity stage, and decline stage. What do we mean by introduction stage? When a product is introduced. See, in the new product development, we have discussed that first of all, there is new product idea, and after a certain process, there are certain processes to be followed, and after following those particular processes, the product is launched in the market, right? So when the product is introduced and it struggles to gain brand recognition, that is introduction stage. It is launched, but it is not recognized properly. It will take some time to be recognized in the market. That is called as introduction stage. For example, self-driving car. It is there in the market, but it has still not caught up very properly. Next stage is growth stage. The second stage is growth stage. In this case, the product is that it reaches to its peak. For example, if you talk of electric car, we may say that it is in its growth stage. And then comes maturity stage. In maturity stage, what is happening? See, in growth stage, the sales of the product is rising, is increasing, and it is increasing at increasing rate. But at this case of maturity, the sales is still there. It is still rising, increasing, but it is not increasing at increasing rate, right? Say for example, and for that matter, and this is the stage, this is the most crucial, this is the most important stage, because here the marketer has to decide whether with certain modifications, can this be extended, can this maturity stage be extended? Because if it is not extended, it is eventually moved to decline stage. So it does not go to decline stage immediately, right? And then comes decline stage, when the product gets eclipsed by new products. The product is either phased out, or maybe there are certain modifications which is required in the product, and it is differentiated, and it takes a form of a new product. So decline stage is basically the very old product I mean the previous product which was introduced, it's now the time for it to be phased out, right? So for example, if you talk of diesel cars, they are being phased out. So if you try to see the product life cycle concept in a graphical representation, you will see like this, which you can see the slide behind me, right? So introduction stage, sale is rising. It is being accepted in the market. In the growth stage, the sale is rising, right? The demand for your product is increasing at an increasing rate. At maturity stage, it is increasing, but not at that rate. The increase rate is not as fast as it was earlier in the growth rate. And if at that stage, if you wish as a marketer, with your marketing strategies, you can extend its stage and you can delay the decline stage to come. Now let us discuss all these stages: introduction, growth, maturity and decline, one by one in a more elaborate manner. So what is in introduction stage? Once a product has been developed, the first stage is its introduction stage. The product is being released into the market. Demand for the product has to be created. It is there in the market. You have to communicate to people that yes, the kind of product is there which you may like, right? So the demand for that particular product is still not there. You have to create that demand. Since you are still creating the demand, since the product is still not recognized in the market, the sales are low and it creep along slowly, right? How does it creep? The more you advertise, the more you make promotional effort. This stage, the costs are generally high in all the aspects. The cost of production is high because you're not producing in bulk. You are producing a limited batch just to see whether the product is accepted in the market or not, right? So the cost of production is also very high. The cost of promotion is also very high, right? Even the physical distribution, if I talk of, if you are using the channels, you have to pay certain discounts or incentives to the channel so that they promote your product. So even that cost is high. So the costs are generally high at this introduction stage. And when the costs are high and you cannot keep the prices also equally high because you still have to grab the customers, that means the profitability is, less, or you can say meager at this stage, at introduction stage. And now the principal aim, the main goal of this stage is to build demand for the product and to try to get the profitability. See, again, you have launched in the market, if it is new to the world product, you get some advantages over here. But if it is not new to the world, if it is new to the company, then in that case, you have to make much more efforts, right? So in short, if we say what does introduction stage means, we can say it is a stage when the costs are very high, the sales volumes are less, there is either no competition or maybe little competition. If it is a new to the world product, there is no competition, right? Demand is still not there, it has to be created, and customers have to be prompted to try the product. They may have to be given incentives, and also the distribution channels may have to be given incentives, and makes little money at this stage. So that means this stage is not, with the viewpoint of profitability, this stage is not very profitable, right? What are the different strategies which is used in introduction stage? As the promotional effort. And when I say increase, it has not only be communicated, but the customers, they also have to be given some incentives to buy that particular product, right? So in that case, your promotional expenses are high. Your advertisement and publicity of the product is very heavy. You advertise it heavily. And you also, as a marketer, try to give gifts to customer to allure them so that they come to your product, they accept your product. So sometimes this gifts may be in terms of, already existing products that you were having, maybe in that form, or maybe you have to give discount to people to attract them. You also have to give incentives and discount to the dealers. And then, as I said, there can be two ways to look at it. If it is a new to the world product, that means there is no competition in the market and in the cream. So the pricing strategy that you can use in this case, if your product is new to the world, that you can use a skimming the cream pricing policy. That means initially you can price your commodities, you can price the products higher because there is no competitor in the market. There is a demand in the market that you have created now. So now the customers have no other option to go. If they want that product, they have to buy it from you only. So that ways, even if you are having higher prices, they'll come to you. So this is called skimming the cream pricing policy. The skimming the cream pricing policy we'll discuss later when we'll talk of pricing strategies of firms. But for the time being, you can understand like this. And then if the second option is, if the product that you have launched is not new to the world, it is only new to the company. Maybe the other companies are offering, you also want to enter into that. So as a competitor, you are entering into the market. In that case, there is heavy competition in the market, then in that case, if you want to keep your prices high, it won't work. So then you have to adopt the penetrate the market policy, or the pricing strategy that you adopt here is penetrating. Penetrating means initially you will price your product very, very low so that it gets some time, to the market, and at least people are having it. And once the product is accepted, once you are able to create that brand image amongst the customers, then you can gradually increase your prices by adding some more modifications in your products. In this case, the companies generally target early adopters and influential market leaders, right? You must strategies to sometimes to influence companies. When they are launching a new product, they try to attract the influential bloggers. So they may offer free products to those bloggers and ask them to review it on their social media platform. And once they review it, and if the reviews are good, that means their followers, they can become your customers. So this is also one of the strategies which is adopted by the companies. Firms need to find willing suppliers who are willing to stock. Since you are new in the market, even the distribution channels that you're going to use, even they need to be convinced. So you have to make much more efforts in identifying those suppliers or those channel people, the pipelines who are willing to stock. Profitable again if your product is new to the world product. If it is entirely new, it is a kind of innovation, right? Innovation also, which is in a way invention, then yes, you can have profitability because you can have skimming the cream pricing policy. But in most of the cases, when it is not new to the world, which is very rare product, then in that case, the profitability is less because costs are high and revenue is relatively low. That is why the profitability is also less is at that stage. So as a marketer, you should not look for profitability at this stage. At this stage, your concentration should be on, creating brand image, creating brand recognition, and creating the demand for the product that you have offered in the market. Now comes the second stage, which is called as growth stage. At this stage, your product is already accepted by the customers. It is already welcome. And when there is a high demand for your product, that means your sales are eventually going to increase. So the size of total market expands rapidly in this stage, right? And as the market expands, when the market expands, your profitability is also higher. How come it is higher? Because since you are producing more, you are churning the benefits of large-scale economies. When you produce more, with the increase in volume of production of a product, the cost of production of that particular product comes down. And when the cost is coming down and revenues are more, that means you have a good profitability. So that means you have profitability here. Seeing you grow in the market, there may be many, competitors who wants to enter into the market just to, take share in your success, whatever success you are getting in that particular product. They would jump into the market. They would either imitate and make carbon copies of your product, or maybe your competition is also increasing at this stage. And when the competition increases, again, the most likely things which is going to be affected, or 4 Ps which is going to be affected at this stage is prices. Because then you have to keep an eye of the pricing decision that the competitor is having, right? Marketing in this stage is aimed at increasing the product's market share. That is why it is also called as take-off stage. The product is now, it has taken off, right? In this case, if you see, the costs are reduced. Why? Again, as we have discussed, because you are able to churn the economies of scale. You are producing, since the demand is more, the sales is more, you are producing more. And when you are producing more, your cost is less. Repeat buyings also, right? That is why the profitability begins to rise. And when the profitability begins to rise, that more and more people are using it, then public awareness also increases. So word of mouth, publicity, that is also there. At this stage, as a characteristic, if you see, the competition also increases, and increased competition leads to price decreases. So keeping this in mind, what kind of strategy as a marketer would you formulate? Would be advertisement and publicity of product. That you have to keep on doing. Because you are there, you have to create that, you have to position your product in the market in a way that whenever that utility comes to the mind of consumers, the name that comes to their mind is yours. So advertisement and publicity of the product is important at this stage. So you have to make expensive customers. If they are there, then in that case you may give some incentives. For example, I'll give you an example that there is an online store which is called as iTokri. So when you buy things from them, so initially at your first purchase, they'll send you with the product, along with the product, they'll send you a small gift with that and a handwritten note that you are a very valuable customer to us, and I hope you would like the product, and likewise, and keep shopping with us. So these kinds of incentives, even at the growth stage, what is doing? It is positioning your product. So whenever the customer tries to think of buying a product in that line, he or she will go for that particular brand only. New versions of the products are introduced to cater to the requirements of different types of customers. At this stage, many times it happens, the product is already accepted of the same product, then in that case, maybe some new versions of the same product you may introduce to the market, so that you are grabbing those customers also, and you are trying to stop them from going to the competitors, right? At this stage, the strategy regarding the channels of distribution would be that channels of distribution are strengthened so that the product is easily available wherever required. Why it is important? Because competitors have entered into the market, and for any reason, if any of your channels, they are not having your product, they don't have a stock of your product, immediately the competitor products would be showed to them, and the customers can buy the competitor's product. So in this case, you have to give proper attention to the channel of distributions also, and you have to strengthen them, and the stock, easy availability of stock, you have to ensure in those particular channels. You may have to open new distribution channels and retail outlets also. Competition, you are giving more emphasis on your customer service, again, so that customers prefers you to other competitors. And the firm needs to capitalize on growth to extend product sales from small retailers to big supermarkets. Now you're shifting also. And then firms can make change marketing from niche areas to a more mass market. Initially, at the introduction stage, when you had a limited, batch of production of the particular market, then you were targeting a particular niche market only, a particular area only. Now you're going for a mass marketing. You are making it available to the entire market, right? And then firm can adapt to consumer feedback and offer new features or better customer support. At this stage, customer feedback is, you can retain your customers. We have already discussed in previous sessions that customer retention cost is much less than customer acquisition cost. So you don't want to go back to that introduction phase again. You have to churn the benefits at this stage. So even the small feedback that the customer is giving you, you have to work upon. You have to promptly act upon that, right? Now comes maturity stage. So at this stage, the growth is already there and it's still growing, but the rate of growth is maybe not that high as it was in the case of growth stage. So it begins to lose consumer appeal for many reasons. Maybe the competitor, those have entered into the market, they are, doing it more successfully, or maybe they are preferred. So in that case, and of course also changes. So if you are not able to, match your pace with that, then in that case, maybe you come to that maturity stage very soon. In this case, costs are decreased as a result of production volumes. Again, since you were in the growth stage and you were producing the commodities in bulk, so you were churning the benefits of large scale economy and you are still churning it. So the costs are less. But your sales may drop at this stage, right? At this point, either you can see the kind of drop in the sale, or even it may be increasing as I said, but at not that rate at which is what increasing at growth rate. So a kind of saturation is reached now, and no more distribution pipelines need to be filled because you have already in the growth stage, you have already competition become intense. Now, if you want to be appealing to the consumers, then you may have to lower the prices vis-a-vis the price of the competitor, so that the consumers who were not earlier coming to you may also come to you. So this, why I say this is a very, very critical stage, because as a marketer, you know, if you make efforts, then maybe you can extend this stage to a bit, that the decline stage will come after some time. Otherwise, if you don't take proper care at this particular stage, your decline stage will seep in very soon, right? So maturity stage is very, very critical, and it is very, very important. And here is the point when you have to make the decision whether you would gradually phase out the existing product, architecture of the product, so that it can be seen by the market as a new product, right? What are the strategies which is used in maturity stage? So product may be differentiated from the competitive products, and brand image may be strengthened further. You have to reposition your product in the market if you want to extend it. And if you see the potential that you can extend the market, right? It depends. If you can see if as a marketer you can see the potential to extend it, you will make all the efforts. But if you see that there is no potential in that, then the decision will be to let it be phased out, right? Maybe reusable packaging may be introduced, new markets may be developed, and pricing at this stage can tend to get competitive to match or beat the competitors. Product modification and quality improvement strategies are adopted, and new uses of the product may be developed, and PLC extension is attempted if you see that there is a potential decline stage, right? That eventually every product, it will come to a decline stage. Some products may take a little longer time. Some products may take as less time as maybe immediately after introduction if they fail. So this stage has to come. The only variation is the length, the time after which it comes, right? So in this stage, product sales drop significantly and consumer behavior changes as there is less demand for the product. The company's product loses more and more market share, and competition tend to cause sales to deteriorate. So now, you are at decline stage and some other company may be at, at introduction stage, or maybe you only with certain other product, with certain, major modifications, with the change in the architecture of the product, you are launching minimal or targeted at already loyal customers and prices are reduced. What are the strategies which is used? You don't make much, efforts on the promotional activities if you see that there is not much potential available for this particular kind of product. So that expenses also you drop. New features maybe you can add if you want to extend even this decline stage. New features may be added to the product and its packaging may be made more attractive. Again, you try to give newness, a sense of newness to the existing product. Economy packs or models may be introduced to revive the market, and promotion of the product may be done on a selective basis targeted at already loyal customers to reduce the distribution cost. And maybe at this stage, you start planning for the new product development. Much ahead of this, you have started thinking of a new idea through which you can give you can change the architecture of a product, right? And you can introduce in the market as a new product development. Or maybe if you have thought of entirely phasing out that particular product, with the innovation in technology, you are introducing a new product to the market. So following these stages, eventually the product will be retired out of the market unless it is able to redesign itself to remain relevant or in demand. This is very, very important. If we try to see it with few examples, nowadays if you see the online education or maybe online healthcare, it was introduced long back, but with the current situation of pandemic, they're catching the market. And if the things, if the, I would say many parents, even including me, may decide to opt for online education or online health services unless it is very, very important or unless you feel the best example. And then in growth stage, if you talk of, you just see the AirPods, the wireless earphones which are being used. It has been in the market around for a few years, but now it is catching up gradually. So it is in growth stage. Likewise, the desktop personal computers which were having CPU or different CPU and various input devices, they are kind of at this stage of maturity. Now it is being taken over by the even desktop which are having everything inbuilt, which does not have input devices separately, or the laptops are taking place, or maybe iPads. And decline stage, if you see CD players, DVD players, before that the floppy disk were there. Once they were the hotcake, now they are out of the market, they are phased out, and now USB drives and hard disks, they are taking place, right? We'll quickly start life cycle. So in the introduction stage, the product is one or few products and relatively undifferentiated. You're introducing in the market either one product or maybe few, some variants of the same particular product, maybe a line or maybe one product line, which we have discussed already in the previous sessions, or maybe one or two product lines, right? So one or few products which is relatively undifferentiated. In terms of pricing, again, you can either have skimming the cream policy or you can have penetration. Again, if your product is new to the world, it is a radical innovation, you can have skimming the cream pricing policy. But if your product is not new, it is not new for you, it is already there in the market.